Chapter 524. Gigi. Behind him was the ferocious blood dragon snake, and in front of him was the thick chi wall. If he went left or right, he would be blocked by the blood dragon snake. Yi Chen had nowhere to go. I can't fight with the blood dragon snake. Ancient beasts have the strongest defense. Without 1 to 4 hours, it would be hard to kill it. If both of us get injured, it would only benefit that old guy. Thinking quickly, Yi Chen withdrew his protective Zhenyuan. Layers of sword light floated around his body. Shoo! The sword light carried his body and shot toward the chi wall. Peng! The mud behind him splashed out. The blood dragon snake's tail was as red as jade and as hard as diamond, leaving a deep hole in the ground. Swoosh! The sword light was condensed with the supreme slaughter sword will. The moment it touched the wall of chi, it only paused for a moment before it broke through the wall of chi and smoothly passed through. Through the chi wall, Yi Chen locked onto the figure of the elder in the distance and chased after him at an extreme speed. Behind him, although the blood dragon snake's speed was not slow, it could not compete with Yi Chen's sword light flying art. Within 2 to 3 breaths' time, it had been thrown a couple of miles away, its creepy eyes filled with anger. Old guy, hand over the dragon blood plant, and I will pretend this never happened. Soon, Yi Chen was only 1 mile behind the elder. The scenery on both sides was moving backward rapidly like a bubble. The elder was wearing a straw raincoat and a bamboo hat. Without even turning his head, he chuckled and said, "Little brother, you can instantly break through the chi wall and escape from the blood dragon snake's pursuit. Your strength is not bad, but it is still not enough in front of this old man. If you know what's good for you, you should leave immediately before I get angry." "Oh. Seems like you have made up your mind not to return it." Yi Chen's tone was calm, giving people an unfathomable feeling. Treasures belong to the fated. The dragon blood plant should belong to me. Then die. After chasing for 300 meters, Yi Chen pointed out his left index finger in the air. A waist-thick cyan Zhenyuan finger shot out, creating a water-like pattern in the air. Hey! This is space mentality. The elder looked back and his pupils shrank. Without enough time to dodge, he swung his left hand backward. Dang! The old man's hand shone with a golden light, and a golden shield appeared. The Zhenyuan finger smashed on the golden shield, making a teeth-aching metal explosion sound. Sparks flew everywhere like fireworks. Staggering back a few steps, the old man stood on top of a boulder and looked at Yi Chen. "Since you really want to die, this old man will fulfill your wish." There were a lot of treasures on the island, and the elder did not want to get involved with Yi Chen. However, that was under the condition that Yi Chen would not bother him. "It's not up to you to decide who lives and who dies." Stopping his steps, Yi Chen's eyes shone with a murderous vibe, and his expression turned a little more serious. His void-shattering finger art had already reached 40% completion, and its power was only slightly weaker than his gold-resonant radiance art, which had reached 80% completion. It was expected that his opponent would not die, but it was surprising that he had only taken a couple of steps back. This old man's fishing rod has killed countless people. Today, I will add another life to my tally. The old man shook the fishing rod in his hand and looked at Yi Chen expressionlessly. It was as if he was looking at a fish that had delivered itself to him. "I am afraid that the result will disappoint you." Yi Chen did not take the initiative to attack. The elder was very powerful, and his fishing rod was even more mysterious and unpredictable. Before figuring out what was going on, attacking recklessly would only bring him more opportunities. Woo! A wave of strong wind blew across, and the air was filled with the unique color of the island. The old man made his move. The fishing rod in his hand shook once, and a silver light disappeared into the surreal space, shooting towards Yi Chen's neck without a sound. The fishing line was stretched perfectly straight, merging with the color in the air. It was hard to tell where the line was with naked eyes. Yi Chen indeed did not expect his opponent to attack this fast. He leaned his body back and flicked his left finger. The sword chi and the silver light clashed together. Ding! The silver light was bounced away. It was a sharp silver blade, and there seemed to be a transparent fishing line tied to it. Occasionally, it would shine with a crystal light. The old man sneered. The skinny hand that was holding the fishing rod sank down, and his Jin Yuan flowed rapidly along the fishing line. All of a sudden, the tip of the silver blade shone with a cold light. It shook once in the air, attacking towards Yi Chen again. Ding, ding, ding. The silver blade was like a maggot on a bone, never leaving Yi Chen's body. His protective Zhen Yuan was like a thin piece of paper in front of the silver blade. Shadow. His body turned into a shadow. Yi Chen suddenly lowered his body and shot out while sticking close to the ground. Earthquake sand. A skinny palm pressed on the ground, and a muddy yellow halo spread out. Along with a rumbling sound, the hard ground shook for hundreds of times before turning into pure sand. The sand wave shot up into the sky. Yi Chen had to wake up from his shadow state and back out in the air. This guy is powerful. It was the first time that Yi Chen had met a warrior who was at the same level as him. His opponent had a lot of battle experience, and was very cunning. Every time he attacked, it would be at the perfect time and angle. While not showing any flaws, he kept pressing forward. Withdraw. The old man shook his head slightly and pulled back his fishing rod. In front of him, the silver blade circled around with Yi Chen as the center, and the transparent fishing line wrapped around Yi Chen. As long as the circle shrank, even if Yi Chen's defense was twice as strong, he would still be cut in half. Shadow splitting. At that critical moment, Yi Chen left behind a shadow while his real body shot up into the sky, reaching a height of 10 meters. Old man, it's my turn. Once in the air, Yi Chen flicked both of his hands. The instant the space rippled, the lotus heart sword chi shot out towards the old man like a torrential rain. Danger. The old man took a deep breath and threw out a palm attack on the ground. Rumble. A sand wall with a yellow halo appeared, blocking in front of the sword chi. There were so many sword chi that the sand wall could only block for a blink of an eye. After that, it was punctured into a sieve and landed on the old man's protective Jin Yuan. Earth walking art. The old man was hit by a couple of sword chi attacks. In his shock, his feet sank into the sand, disappearing without a trace. In midair, Yi Chen sneered. The lotus heart sword chi's attacking range expanded like a summer storm, turning the area where the old man had disappeared into thousands of holes. Earth-shattering palm. A figure covered in blood rushed out from the sand under Yi Chen's feet, throwing out a palm attack. The palm power was extremely powerful, and it seemed to be able to shatter anything that touched it. Gold resonant radiance sword. Yi Chen was already prepared for the old man to jump out of the sand and attack him. His body slid back a step and he held his long sword in his right hand before throwing it down. Boom! The golden-green sword beam and the earthy yellow palm energy collided. One contained a vibrating force, while the other contained a crushing and explosive force. The resulting energy exploded, forming a golden, green, and yellow light ball that swallowed both of them and expanded rapidly. Pooh! The old man puked out a mouthful of blood and fell down into the sand. Yi Chen's body bent and shot up into the sky, enduring the extreme pressure. Take another sword attack of mine. Yi Chen was the first one to recover from his paralysis. He followed the pressure and threw out another sword attack. The bright sword light was like a solar storm. Before the sword chi even arrived, a sword hole had already appeared on the surface of the sand. Countless grains of sand had been shattered into tiny particles by the vibrating sword pressure. This brat is tricky. The old man had to dig deeper. He was only a few hundred meters deep when the huge power started to spread out on the sand layer by layer. Sensing that the old man was still alive, Yi Chen threw out one sword attack after another, showing the power of the gold resonant radiant sword without a doubt. Damn! Right then, the old man's expression finally changed as he took out a small tower from his storage ring. It was only 1 foot tall, but the aura it gave off was as heavy as a mountain. No, it was 10 times heavier than a mountain. As he poured his Zhen Yuan into it, the small tower shone brightly and expanded. It broke through the surface of the sand, revealing its tip and body. What is this thing? Yi Chen hurried to increase the distance between him and the old man. Boom! Waves of sand rose up as the whole tower appeared in the air. On the first floor of the tower, the old man was covered in blood, stuffing pellets into his mouth. It has the aura of an extreme rank weapon. It is a semi-extreme rank weapon. Yi Chen realized that the tower was a great item, and an extremely rare defensive great item at that. Defensive great items were not limited to great armors, and could be in other shapes. The ones that could change their sizes were only extreme rank great items and replicas of extreme rank great items. Yi Chen wondered where this old man had found a semi-extreme rank weapon. Although they were only replicas of extreme rank weapons, they still had 30 to 40% of the power of the real thing. Some of the top semi-extreme rank weapons might even have 50 to 60% of the power. Even life and death realm warriors would not be able to ignore it. Little brother, I am willing to return the dragon blood plant to you. How about we call it even? The old man poured his Jin Yuan into the tower while talking to Yi Chen through the tower. Yi Chen's eyebrows flicked. You are willing to return the dragon blood plant? With the appearance of the semi-extreme rank weapon, Yi Chen thought that it would be a long battle, since it would be impossible for him to break the tower open. So, the old man would definitely be able to recover for a while before coming out. Indeed, I am willing to return it. The old man was very straightforward as he took out the blood-colored dragon blood plant and shot it out of the tower. Letting the plant fall onto the ground, Yi Chen cautiously approached it. After confirming that nothing was wrong, he sucked it into his hand. It is indeed the dragon blood plant. What is this old man thinking? Yi Chen's eyes flickered. The old man was a bit worried, but he still said with a calm face, you can see that my tower's defense is very powerful. You will not be able to break in, and I will not be able to attack you either. So, the best solution is to stop the battle. No need to say more. I am not interested. Yi Chen did not expect the old man to tell him the truth. If the tower had not appeared, he would have spent some time to kill the old man. But now that the situation had changed, he had to consider the consequences of attacking forcefully. Who knew what other tricks the old man had up his sleeves? If he really had to fight to the death, it would not be something he wanted to see. So, getting his dragon blood plant and injuring the old man was already the best outcome. Shoo! His body flashed once as Yi Chen turned into a beam of light and disappeared. Letting out a breath, the old man looked at the direction where Yi Chen had left with a dark look in his eyes. Yuan Splitting Tower is an extreme rank item, but it is the worst among all the replicas. Each time I use it, it will be damaged a little. After using it this time, I wonder how long it will last. The reason why the old man wanted to return the dragon blood plant was not because of anything else, but because he cherished the Yuan Splitting Tower. Even if the tower was damaged, it was still a life-saving treasure. Unless it was a life or death situation, he would not use it. So, naturally, he would not waste time with Yi Chen. Putting away the Yuan Splitting Tower, the old man left the place quickly, disappearing into the horizon. Chapter 525. A couple of miles away, the image of the elder leaving appeared in Yi Chen's mind. He could see the subtle changes in the elder's expression and eyes. Dragon bloodgrass, a spirit plant that contains the blood of a dragon. The blood of a dragon is just like a spirit crystal stone, having a huge effect on the improvement of the spirit body. This dragon bloodgrass is almost 3,000 years old, which is at least equivalent to 30 normal spirit crystals. Most importantly, the blood of a dragon contains the power of a dragon. Even if there is only a trace of it, it is still very precious to a body training expert. Yi Chen was very clear about the value of the dragon bloodgrass. Using it as a spirit crystal stone would be a bit overkill. The power of a dragon contained in the blood of a dragon was the most essential part of it. When the old man chose to give up on the dragon bloodgrass, he must have had a moment of hesitation and heartache. However, this had nothing to do with Yi Chen. It was fine as long as he got the dragon bloodgrass. Shoo! His body flashed as Yi Chen turned into a shadow and shot out. In the next half a day, every time Yi Chen passed by a mountain, he would obtain a few valuable spirit plants. These spirit plants were at least 2,000 to 3,000 years old, while the older ones were at least 10,000 years old. Of course, once the spirit plants reached 10,000 years old, they basically could not continue to grow anymore. In fact, many of the same spirit plants could not even live for a few hundred years. Those that could live for a few thousand years were the best of the same kind. Therefore, they could withstand the passage of time. After passing through dozens of mountains, Yi Chen came to a flat area surrounded by mountains. The spirit qi in this area was very dense, and there was a drizzle in the air. This drizzle was not normal rain, but spirit rain condensed from spirit qi. Opening his hand and grabbing a handful of spirit rain, Yi Chen could clearly feel that the spirit rain had turned into spirit qi and merged into his body, being refined into pure Jin Yuan. What a terrifying spirit qi! Training here would not be slower than training with top-rank spirit stones. Moreover, after a long time, the body would be nourished by the spirit qi, and it would be able to improve the spirit body even faster. Yi Chen sighed inwardly, feeling quite emotional. The flat area occupied a very wide area. After flying for 4 to 5 miles, Yi Chen finally arrived at the center of the area. Here, he finally understood why the spiritual energy in this area was so thick that it was drizzling. It turned out that this was a medicinal garden surrounded by a vine fence. The vine fence was very high, around 50 meters high. Yi Chen didn't think that he could fly over, but of course, he didn't need to. In front of him was an entrance propped up by 2 giant trees. Through the entrance, he could see the colorful and brilliant colors of the medicinal garden. So many spirit herbs. I've struck it rich this time. Once I get out and exchange them for upper spirit stones, I won't have to worry for the rest of my life. What's the point of exchanging them for upper-grade spirit stones? Exchanging them for pills to increase one's strength with a rank 5 sect is the way to go. That's true. Hurry up, there are more and more people. Yi Chen was not the first to discover the herb garden. There were already many people inside, all busy picking herbs and enjoying themselves. Hey! Star spirit fruit. Meridian cutting plant. No one wants to pick them. Yi Chen noticed some of the spirit plants on the edge. There were a lot of different kinds of spirit plants, and a few of them caught Yi Chen's attention. They were the star spirit fruit, which could help peak level late clasping Yuan realm warriors to reach the astral reaching realm, and the meridian cutting plant, which could increase the training potential of warriors below the Sea of Souls realm. But it was not that surprising, since all of the people here were Sea of Souls realm warriors. Who would want to pick the top and mid-rank spirit plants? Everyone would be fighting for the ones that would be useful to them. Come here. Yi Chen waved his hand, using his Jin Yuan to loosen up the soil. He was about to pull out a couple of mid-rank spirit plants through the air. But what surprised him was that the soil in the garden had been nourished by the spirit qi, making it extremely hard. As the soil cracked open, the broken parts turned into crystal particles, making a cracking sound. No wonder these people are stepping on them one by one. If I were to try to take them through the air, it would only cause a huge amount of waste. Yi Chen shook his head and forced a smile as he also bent down to pick them. Mid-rank iron wire plant. Mid-rank detoxification plant. Top-rank yuan fruit. Top-rank purple heart wood. Top-rank heaven immortal tea. There were just too many spirit plants in the garden. If he were to pick them one by one, it would take him at least 10 days to half a month. But Yi Chen was not in a hurry. Once the Treasure River Island appeared, it would stay for 3 months. After that, it would disappear again. For him, time was more than enough. Woo! Woo! Right then, a vibrating sound was heard from the center of the garden. It sounded like a bee, but was hundreds of times louder than a bee. There was also the sound of metal vibrating mixed in. The buzzing sound was getting louder and louder, eventually covering the whole area. Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked toward the direction of the sound. Gold, a bright gold color. Countless bright gold objects attacked toward everyone at a speed as fast as golden lightning. Ah! A couple of Sea of Souls realm warriors who were the closest to it widened their eyes and fell onto the ground. Their bodies were full of holes, and the color was light gold. Through some of the wounds, one could see a couple of pinky finger-sized golden thorns. It was indeed these thorns that had pierced through their protective Jin Yuan and bodies. It is the golden needle bee. Run! Someone let out a shrill scream as he tried his best to fly back. The others woke up from the shock and turned around to run as fast as they could. Yi Chen squeezed his eyes as he saw the so-called golden needle bee. It was the size of a palm, and its whole body looked like it was made of gold. The vibrating sound came from their wings, which vibrated at an extremely high frequency. Even with Yi Chen's soul power, he could barely tell what it was. There were a lot of them. With a rough estimation, there were at least hundreds of thousands of them. They turned into a wave of golden light, attacking toward Yi Chen. Run! Yi Chen did not have any other thoughts in his mind. The only thing he could do was to run as fast as he could. If he were too slow, he might lose his life in the garden and become the fertilizer for the spirit plants. Soon, Yi Chen arrived at the closest vine fence. He took out his emerald long sword and threw out a sword attack. Crack! The vine fence was unbelievably tough. Yi Chen's sword attack only managed to cut through a couple of arm-thick vines, which were as smooth as a mirror. Looking at the thickness of the fence, Yi Chen could not help but feel helpless. Compared to the whole fence, the few vines that had been cut off were only like a strand of hair on a human's body, which meant nothing at all. The screams were getting louder and louder. A lot of them stopped abruptly on the way, but soon, more screams were heard without stopping for even a second. In the ancient era, the golden needle bee was 10 times more famous than the blood dragon snake. This kind of beasts might not be that powerful individually, but when they moved together, it would be a nightmare for the enemies. Their stingers contained a deadly poison that could easily pierce through the protective Zhenyuan. Their bodies were as hard as steel, and warriors with a higher cultivation might not be able to cut through their bodies. Moreover, their constantly flapping wings could leave a bone-deep wound on one's body. Damn it! Yi Chen gave up on cutting through the fence and flew towards the entrance a couple of miles away. Right now, he was starting to hate the size of the herb garden and the density of the spirit qi. The garden was huge, and it would take a while to fly to the entrance. The density of the spirit qi would create a huge obstacle, which would increase as one's speed increased, making it impossible for Yi Chen to break through the speed of sound. When Yi Chen was less than 100 meters away from the entrance, a group of golden needle bees had their eyes on Yi Chen. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Like a golden bomber, the golden needle bees separated into 3 groups. One of them shot out with a speed that was too fast for people to react. Piss off! Yi Chen threw out a sword attack, and a golden cyan sword light shot out. Pooh! Chin! What made Yi Chen gasp was that besides one golden needle bee that was cut in half by the long sword, the rest of them were only blown away by the sword light. They flew back dizzily, with faint sword marks on their bodies. These guys are way too tough. Yi Chen understood that if he wanted to kill the golden needle bees, he would have to use close-range attacks. Sword Qi and sword light would not be able to kill them at all. Shoo, 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 shoo. Golden thorns shot out one after another, making Yi Chen's scalp go numb. He shook his wrist and performed the speed sword hell, and the sword light shot out. The attacking power of the speed sword hell was not high, but blocking the golden thorns was not that hard. While fighting and retreating, Yi Chen finally reached the entrance. Without thinking, he rushed out with all his power. Once outside, the spirit qi was much thinner, and Yi Chen's speed started to increase again. But what made him feel helpless was that the golden needle bee's speed was also increasing at the same time, which actually shortened the distance between them. Biting on his teeth, Yi Chen let go of his protective Zhenyuan layer and performed his sword light flying spell, turning into a beam of sword light to escape. The golden needle bees were persistent, as if they would not stop until they caught up to Yi Chen. A wave of sword light, and a wave of golden light, the two began a chase. After passing over a couple of mountains, Yi Chen arrived at a vast lake. He could not help but have an idea. After all, the golden needle bees needed to flap their wings to increase their speed. Under the water, flapping their wings would cause an unimaginable amount of resistance. On the other hand, warriors relied on Zhenyuan to move forward, so the resistance would not be as much as the golden needle bees. Splash! Yi Chen shot into the water. As expected, the golden needle bees that were chasing him stopped. A couple of them that could not stop in time followed Yi Chen into the water, but soon came out again. After circling around the lake for a couple of times, the golden needle bees gave up on chasing Yi Chen and went back to where they came from. Finally got rid of them. Under the water, Yi Chen let out a breath. Staying under the water for a while, Yi Chen saw that there was no more movement, so he got out of the water and chose a direction to fly. He could not go to the herb garden anymore. The outer part of the island was filled with spirit plants, and there were mountains everywhere. Going further in, there were fewer spirit plants, at least they did not grow in clusters. Shoo! Yi Chen arrived in front of a magnificent palace. Entering the palace, Yi Chen focused his eyes. In the hall of the palace, there were 3 human figures. One of them was the elder in the straw cape who had fought with him before. Right then, the elder also looked over with a faint smile on his face. "Little brother, how have you been?" Yi Chen smiled lightly. What a coincidence. Indeed. The lady in red next to the elder laughed. "You are not the one who had embarrassed the fisherman, are you?" She had heard about it from the elder before, and she was quite surprised at that time. After all, according to the elder's description, Yi Chen was only in his 20s, and he already had the power to injure the fisherman. No matter how he did it, it was enough to shock people. Chapter 526. I am not that talented. Yi Chen had his back facing the door, so he could leave at any time. The lady gave him a thumbs up. Impressive. Among the young people who could make a fisherman suffer a loss, you are the 3rd one. But, in terms of age, you are the 1st. Little brother, you haven't used that dragon blood plant yet, right? The elder could not forget about the dragon blood plant. He was sure that Yi Chen had not used it yet. There were countless treasures in the Treasure River Island, and the latter would not waste his time on refining the plant. Yi Chen raised his eyebrows. So what if I did? So what if I didn't? How about this? You and I will make a deal. A 9-turn reverse spirit grass and a flood dragon grass for your dragon blood grass. The 9-turn reverse spirit grass can increase the lifespan of martial artists below life and death realm by 9 years. Moreover, it can strengthen the soul. I believe I don't need to explain what kind of benefits a powerful soul brings to martial artists. As for the flood dragon grass, its effect is almost the same as your dragon blood grass. 9-turn reverse spirit plant and flood dragon plant. Yi Chen was a bit surprised by the elder's gains. He knew the value of the 9-turn reverse spirit plant. Back when he was trapped in the bewildering fog-forbidden zone, he had gotten 2 of them. He had used one and kept the other, which was indeed beneficial to the soul. No, Yi Chen said firmly. If he did not have the 9-turn reverse spirit plant, he might have considered it. Plus, the flood dragon plant was much weaker than the dragon blood plant. The 2 were not even on the same level. The dragon blood plant was a top-rank spirit plant, while the flood dragon plant was only a mid-rank spirit plant. The elder's face twitched a little. To be honest, he was already reluctant to trade the 9-turn reverse spirit plant. If it were not for Yi Chen's power, he might not have been able to keep him here. Therefore, the elder would definitely not trade with him. He would just kill him and take his treasure. But what he did not expect was that Yi Chen was not interested at all. It was as if the 9-turn reverse spirit plant was no different from a weed in his eyes. Is there really no room for negotiation? The elder did not give up. Yi Chen's expression did not change at all. Mitch, little brother, it's better to leave some leeway for others. While talking, the elder sent a message to the lady and the middle-aged man. You too, if there is a chance, I will need your help. I cannot take down this brat by myself. As for the reward, I will do as you said before. All right. The middle-aged man and the lady in red did not try to bargain. They were only able to come to the island because of the information given to them by the other party. Since they were the first batch to come here, they would be able to get a lot more than the rest. Yi Chen saw that the 3 of them had a brief exchange of glances and sneered in his heart. As long as he did not make a mistake, no one below the master level would be able to stop him. Yi Chen took some time to look around the palace. The palace was very grand. Its length, width, and height were all measured in li. Around the palace, there were 36 golden stone pillars. Between every 2 golden stone pillars, there was a stone door. On top of the stone door, there was a number of ancient characters written from left to right, such as number 1, number 2, and so on. This seems to be the weapon forging palace for forging great weapons. Yi Chen caught a faintly discernible aura of a great weapon in the void. This aura did not come from a single great weapon, but was a unique aura formed by many different great weapons mixed together. Obviously, the three of them had also sensed that this palace was not normal. Their eyes flashed as they made a decision. Yi Chen's matter would be put aside for now. The great weapons were more important. If they could get a couple of top-rank great weapons, it would not be less than the dragonblood plant. Plus, such a huge weapon-forging palace would not only have top-rank great weapons. There might be semi-extreme rank and extreme rank ones as well. Let's go. The elder flew towards the nearest stone door while the middle-aged man and the lady in red chose the two stone doors next to each other, leaving Yi Chen alone in front of the palace. How can I return empty-handed after entering the treasure mountain? It just so happens that I am still missing a top-rank great sword. Although Yi Chen's 3 swords in one scabbard would also be a top-rank great sword, it would not be that easy to use. However, as the Sky Thundercut and the Reverse Sky Thundercut were being perfected, 2 top-rank great swords would be necessary. Shoo. Yi Chen chose the 7th stone door that was the closest to him. There was a switch on the wall next to the stone door. Once it was switched on, the heavy stone door started to rise up. It was the gate. The gate was opened halfway, and a rich treasure chi spread out. Hey! No great weapons. Behind the stone door was an empty crafting room. After scanning with his soul power, he could not find a single great weapon. However, there was a substantial treasure chi leaking out from the walls of the crafting room. Yi Chen had heard that if the treasure chi was rich, it would be very helpful for the maintenance of the great weapons. For example, a mid-rank great weapon could be stored for hundreds of years. Under the nourishment of the treasure chi, it might be able to last for 1,000 years or even longer. Go. With a suction force coming out of his palm, Yi Chen swept through all the treasure chi in the crafting room and stored them all in a low-rank storage ring. If he found any great weapons in the future, he would put them all in that storage ring. What? Nothing. Arriving at the crafting room next door, Yi Chen also did not find any great weapons. He could only see the treasure chi with his naked eyes. Perhaps they had all been taken away before? Yi Chen could not rule out this possibility. The history of the island was way too long. Perhaps all the great weapons had been taken away by someone already. As for the spirit plants and medicines, they could grow again, so there would be a lot of them. Putting away the treasure chi, Yi Chen walked towards the next crafting room. Not even a single great weapon? The elder in the woven raincoat and the other 2 had also encountered the same problem. They looked a bit disappointed. What they had done was the same as Yi Chen, which was to absorb all the treasure chi in the crafting room into their storage rings. Since the treasure chi in the crafting room seemed to be endless anyway. Once it was all absorbed, the inside of the walls would come out again. Unknowingly, the 4 of them walked towards the metal door in the front of the palace from both sides. The metal door in the middle was the biggest, so it must be something special. Plus, there was no switch on the wall next to the door. Judging from the shine of the metal door, it was not hard to imagine that the possibility of breaking the door open with brute force would be very low, since the crafting room was not made of tofu after all. The 4 of them stood dozens of meters away from each other, glancing at the metal door from time to time. Shoo! Outside the palace, a sky-shattering sound was suddenly heard. A red figure flew towards the palace at an extreme speed. It was as fast as lightning, even faster than everyone present. Its chi was extremely powerful. Not good. The 4 of them all changed their expressions as they looked towards the direction of the palace door. Haha. This should be the crafting room, right? My iron palm master is quite lucky. Before the person arrived, the voice had already arrived, rumbling like thunder in the sky. Iron palm master. Could it be a Sea of Souls realm master level warrior? The lady in red was extremely nervous, her palms sticky. Shoo! The red figure arrived at the palace. He was in his 50s and 8 feet tall. He was wearing a big red robe with a pair of fire chiline embroidered on his chest. His muscular body was like a huge mountain. Just by standing there, his aura was already spreading out, pressuring the 4 to the point where they could barely breathe. More importantly, the 4 could not see through his cultivation. Let's go. The elder in the woven rush raincoat made a decision immediately, wanting to leave. No matter how good the things inside the metal door were, they would still need to be alive to take them. Fighting against a master-level warrior would not be a good thing. The middle-aged man and the lady in red nodded, following behind the elder. Yi Chen forced a laugh secretly. It would be impossible for them to leave. Did they not notice the trace of mockery in the other's eyes? Where do you think you are going? Indeed, the man in red did not plan to let the four of them leave the palace alive. He lifted up his palm and attacked the three of them. Boom! The aggressive flame palm power was extremely aggressive. Yi Chen had never seen such a horrifying palm power before. It contained the profound of fire, which was extremely horrifying. The three of them were very powerful. There was almost no one below the master level who could kill them. But, facing a real master level warrior, the difference was obvious. Their protective Jin Yuan was shattered, and the three of them were blown away together. Blood leaked out of the corners of their mouths like little snakes. "Why are you blocking our way?" the elder in the woven rush raincoat said with a low voice. The man in red laughed. "All the stone doors here have been opened, so the great items must be in your hands. Hand them over, and I will consider letting you guys go." The lady in red said hurriedly, "We did not get any great items at all. They are all empty. They must have been taken away by someone else." "Huh. You think I will believe you?" the man in red sneered. The middle-aged man in the scholar robe lifted up his palm and said, "I swear to the heavens that we did not get any great items. You should believe me now, right?" "I swear to the heavens as well." The lady in red and the elder in the woven rush raincoat did not want to die. Sea of Souls realm warriors had a lifespan of 300 years. They still had a lot of time to waste. If they died now, it would not be worth it at all. "Oh, why are you not swearing?" The man looked at Yi Chen. Yi Chen said, "Is swearing useful?" "Ha ha ha ha." The man in red laughed out loud. After a while, he said, "You three idiots are not even as good as a young man. If swearing was useful, then there would not be so many people dying in this world. Now, I will give you a choice. Hand over all the great items, and I will check them myself. If you do not, then I will kill you." Right then, the four of them had a bad look on their faces. They indeed did not get any great items, but there were quite a lot of good things in their storage rings. But, they were sure that once they handed over their storage rings, they would not be able to keep them anymore. Plus, they did not believe that the man in red would let them go. If they handed over their storage rings, then they would most likely die. "We indeed do not have any great items. Asking us to hand over our storage rings, isn't that a bit too much?" The middle-aged man in the scholar robe secretly activated his Jin Yuan. At the same time, he passed a message to Yi Chen, "Little brother, we are facing a huge disaster right now. If we want to survive, then we have to work together. Working together is not a long-term plan. You know how powerful master-level warriors are." Yi Chen knew very well that he could compete with anyone below the master level. If he could not beat them, then he would be able to escape. But, if he were to face a master-level warrior, then he would not even have 10% chance of winning, and the chance of escaping would not be more than 10% either. After all, they were blocking the door, so where could he run to? Too much. In the eyes of a powerful warrior, there is no such thing as too much. Boom. Boom. The man in red threw out 4 palm attacks in a row, attacking the 4 of them separately. Chapter 527. This palm art was just a normal low-rank profound sense palm art. But, in the hands of the man, it was way more powerful than the low-rank profound sense martial arts performed by normal people. His fire profound was way too powerful, even more powerful than the normal profound sense of low-rank profound sense martial arts. In terms of firepower, it was at least 120%. Therefore, he had thrown out 4 palm attacks at once, each one of them fatal. Facing this fire palm power, everyone, including Yi Chen, felt like they were being roasted by fire. Even their Jin Yuan was being burned. Master-level warriors. So powerful. Yi Chen gasped as he threw out his gold resonant radiance attack, clashing with the fire palm power. All of a sudden, the palace was filled with chi power. The 4 human figures crashed into the wall at the same time, puking out a huge mouthful of blood. "Am I really going to die here?" The red-robed woman's face was filled with unwillingness. The elder was quite old after all, so he was calmer than the lady in red. He said with a low voice, Run separately. If one of us survives, then we will all die. A master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior is not something that a couple of people can handle. Indeed. The middle-aged man nodded. He thought that if the four of them worked together, there would be some hope. But now, he realized that there was no hope at all. It was not his fault for making the wrong judgment. It could only be said that without battling with a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior, one would not know how powerful they were. Run. Yi Chen sighed helplessly. Thinking about it, he was a bit scared. He could not believe that he had gone against the Yin Demon Master in the underground world. Back then, the latter had been restricted by the rules of the underground world, so he had never used his real power. Once he reached the Holy Land, the rules had disappeared. But, under the protection of the Undying Altar, he still could not feel how powerful a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior was. Compared to the man in red, Yi Chen finally knew how powerful the Yin Demon Master was. He was at least at the same level as the man in red, maybe even more powerful. It seemed like he could tell that the four were going to run separately, so a playful expression flashed through the man's face as he laughed. Run? Where do you think you are going? Fire cage. As he spoke, the red-robed man formed a seal with both of his hands, and an endless amount of fire yuan qi gathered from all directions. The fire yuan qi outside the door was the largest, and it surged in violently. Then, a huge flame cage filled the hall. Although it didn't trap the four people inside, it blocked the way out. Damn it! The middle-aged man's eyes turned red as he slashed at the flame cage. Bang! Shallow sword marks appeared on the pillars of the flame cage. Soon, the sword marks healed, and there was no damage at all. The man in red shook his head. You will not be able to escape. This fire cage contains the profound of fire. Unless you are close to me in terms of profound, you will never be able to break out of it. I will give you one last chance. Hand over your storage rings. Once you hand over your storage rings, I will consider letting you go. Otherwise, you will be dead for sure, and no one will be able to save you. What should we do? The four of them glanced at each other, their eyes filled with questions. Why don't we hand it over to him? At least we'll have a chance to live. The middle-aged man was actually not very afraid of death, but when he thought of his wife at home and the child he had just given birth to, his desire to live was very strong. He could not die. If he died, what would happen to his wife and child? Hand it over. The straw-caped elder shook his head, his face filled with bitterness. If we hand over our storage rings, will you let us go? The middle-aged man was still worried, his eyes filled with begging. The man in red did not nod or shake his head as he said proudly, I will not promise anything. I can only say that it depends on my mood. All right, don't test my patience, I am not that patient. Bastard. The middle-aged man cursed in his mind as he took out the storage ring from his left hand. He hesitated for a second, then threw it through the gap of the cage to the man in red. Here you go. The elder threw out his own storage ring as well. You guys go this way, hurry up. The man in red opened a door on the cage, letting the two walk in. Then, he opened another door on the other side. After walking out of these two doors, they would be able to reach the entrance of the palace. Once they left the palace, they would be able to survive. Why don't you hand it over? Yi Chen looked at the lady in red confusedly. She looked like she was struggling, as if there was something she could not let go of. The lady in red turned her head. What about you? Yi Chen said, I can only say that the result will be the same whether I hand it over or not. But, I am not sure, so I will not stop them. His soul power was very powerful, and he could vaguely feel that the man in red was playing with them. Of course, it was just his instinct, and there was no proof. Therefore, he did not say it out loud. Whether he was playing with them or not, it all depended on whether the two who handed over the storage rings could leave this place alive. The middle-aged man and the elder walked step by step towards the first door of the cage. Before entering, the two hesitated for a second, but eventually walked in. Clang! The two doors were suddenly closed, and they did not even have the time to react. What is the meaning of this? The middle-aged man was shocked, thinking of the worst possible result. The man in red looked at the two in the cage and could not stop laughing. Haha, this is so fun. Controlling other people's lives in your own hands. This feeling is so amazing. Can you understand it? Yeah, you don't understand. You are just poor things. Damn. Let us out. The middle-aged man and the elder attacked the cage as if they did not care about their lives, trying to open a gap. All right, it is over. You have had a hard journey before. Now, you can go back to a quiet place, where there is no killing. The man in red put his hands together. As he closed his palms, flame spikes appeared on the inner walls of the flame cage. The flame spikes shot out and pierced through the middle-aged man. The raging flames engulfed him, and in a short while, he was burned to ashes. Not even his bones were left. What shocked the red-robed man was that the old man did not die. At the critical moment, the old man took out the Tower of Essence and expanded it rapidly. He himself entered the first floor of the Tower of Essence. Originally, he wanted to save the middle-aged man, but the speed of the flame spikes was too fast. He had already lost an arm, so there was no time to save the old man. A semi-extreme rank item? No, it is a low-quality item. Haha, with such a low-quality item, you want to block out my attack? In your dreams. The man in red saw that there was a slight crack on the Yuan Tower, so he laughed out loud. Then, more fire thorns shot out, drowning the whole tower. Within a couple of blinks of an eye, the Yuan Tower exploded, and the elder inside followed the middle-aged man's footsteps. Damn it! The red-clothed woman's body trembled. She had worked with the middle-aged man and the old man for many years. Although the three of them had often schemed against each other, they had never thought of harming each other. They had already developed feelings for each other. Now that she saw the old man and the middle-aged man die, the red-clothed woman's heart ached. Tears flowed from the corners of her eyes. Seeing this, Yi Chen tightened his fists. Putting away the two storage rings beside his feet, the man studied Yi Chen and the lady with interest. I have to say, you two are indeed brave. You are lucky that you guessed it right. I indeed did not think about letting you go. But, it does not matter if you die earlier or later. You will still have to die. Seeming to have lost interest, the man in red waved his left hand in the air. The shape of the fire cage changed as countless sharp thorns appeared. They were spiral-shaped, bringing up sparks everywhere. They contained an extremely horrifying fire profound. As long as they were hit, the two's protective Jin Yuan would not be able to handle it at all. Shoo, 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 shoo. Dozens of fire thorns shot towards the two at lightning-fast speed. In that critical moment, the lady took out a shield and placed it in front of her head and chest. However, her abdomen and thighs had been hit by two thorns respectively. The flame was still burning her body, and she was in a critical situation. Yi Chen did not have a top-rank defensive shield, so he could only perform his sword Chi Tornado and focus it on the upper half of his body, preventing the thorns from reaching his head and arms. As for the rest of his body, he had the gold armor, which might be able to block out the thorns. All of a sudden, Yi Chen's legs were hit by 3 to 4 thorns, but his upper body was perfectly fine. Boom! Right at that moment, the metal door behind the two suddenly opened. It was a deep sound that seemed to have been sealed for a long time. But in the ears of the two, it was definitely a life-saving cry. Go in. Yi Chen grabbed the lady who was badly wounded and jumped into the metal door. How dare you run? The man in red focused his eyes and soon found out the reason why the metal door was opened. It turned out that the flame thorns had shot through a hidden compartment in the wall. The hidden compartment was the mechanism, which meant that he had helped the two to open the metal door. How could he not be angry? Damn it. Kill. The rest of the fire cages all turned into sharp flaming needles, shooting towards the metal door and Yi Chen and the lady who had just entered the door like a storm. Where is the switch? Yi Chen was very anxious. Once he was inside, he immediately left the lady and looked for the switch to close the metal door. Got it. Pooh. He found the switch, but one of the fire thorns that had shot through the metal door hit his chest. Even with the protection of the gold armor, he was still hit by the power of the thorns, which made him puke out 3 liters of blood. His body was sent flying backwards. Hit it. In midair, Yi Chen flicked out a sword chi and shot it at the switch. Boom. The metal door rose halfway and then lowered down again, blocking the other fire thorns outside. We are saved. Landing heavily on the ground, Yi Chen did not have any energy left. He could only smile bitterly. Outside the metal door, the man in red was so angry that his eyes were burning. 2 people who were just his playthings had survived. It was beyond his expectation. Break. The man in red threw out a palm attack onto the metal door, and the flame power poured out. However, no one knew what the metal door was made of. No matter how hard he tried to attack, he could not break it open. Instead, he had shaken both of his arms until they were numb, and his chi and blood were boiling. Yi Chen could only hear a little bit of what was going on outside, since the soundproofing was very good. He took a deep breath and said to the lady, "Are you dead yet?" "I am fine." The place where the lady had been hit was almost burnt, and her voice was very weak. But of course, for Sea of Souls realm warriors, this kind of wound was not fatal. Chapter 528. As long as you are still alive. As he spoke, Yi Chen swallowed a top-rank Yuan Qi replenishing pellet. Although the undying body's first-level flesh recovery had given him the ability to repair his body, it did not come without a price, which was a huge loss of Yuan Qi. This Yuan Qi was not natural Yuan Qi, but the Yuan Qi that was already inside his body. It was one of the most primal energies that had something to do with life force. Too much Yuan Qi damage would not be good for his future training, and he would lose his lifespan. The good thing was that Yuan Qi could be repaired, but it would take a long time. The lady in red didn't have an immortal body, so if she wanted to heal her body, normal pills would take a long time. She might not even be able to recover in 10 days or half a month. However, she was a Daoist master after all, so she had a lot of treasures. With a flip of her left hand, a milky white tree branch appeared. This tree branch looked as if it was made of white jade, smooth, without any flaws. 3 inches away from the branch, a thin layer of light was on the verge of collapsing. It looked like a candle flame, but also like water vapor, gentle and full of vitality. She moved the white jade branch closer to the burnt area. All of a sudden, the scar there fell off, revealing a bloody wound. The flesh inside the wound started to move, trying to heal. As the wound got smaller and smaller, the soft light from the white jade branch started to dim down. Hey! The branch of the undying tree. Yi Chen saw this, and a surprised look flashed through his eyes. The undying tree is an extreme rank spirit tree, and even a branch would be a semi-extreme rank item. Where would I get it? This is a branch from the long life tree. The lady explained. It was the long life tree. Yi Chen nodded. The relationship between the undying tree and the long life tree was like a father and son. The undying tree was born naturally, and could move freely. The long life tree, on the other hand, was a huge tree that grew from the seed of the undying tree. It had some of the characteristics of the undying tree, but it was still not as powerful as the undying tree. It was only a semi-extreme rank spirit tree. Of course, it was already very impressive to have a long life tree. If a normal person stayed next to it for a long time, they would be able to live up to 200 years without a problem. If it were a warrior, not only would they be immune to all kinds of poisons, they would also be immune to heart demons. Withdrawing his gaze, Yi Chen closed his eyes and sat in meditation, working hard to refine the medicinal pellets and replenish his lost Yuan Qi. Outside the metal door, the man in red had a gloomy expression on his face. This metal door and the surrounding walls contain restrictive powers. There is no way to break through it. The only hidden compartment has been destroyed. Right now, the metal door can only be opened from the inside. Damn it. The red-clothed man was extremely regretful. If he had killed them right from the start, then Yi Chen and the red-clothed woman would not have been able to escape. Once he killed them, he would have spent some time to open the metal door and take the treasures inside. Now, not only had he not killed them, but he had also locked himself outside. Every time the Treasure River Island appears, it will only exist for 3 months. After 3 months, it will disappear into the deepest part of the Star Region Lake, and it will be hard to find. I will wait here until the day the Treasure River Island disappears. Let's see if you guys will come out or not." The red-robed man let out a long sigh. He flicked his sleeves, sat cross-legged in the middle of the hall, and started to cultivate. "There is a palace here. There must be treasures inside. Let's go in. There are countless treasures on this island. I did not expect that we would be lucky enough to come here and get so many priceless spirit plants and medicines. Everyone has their own opportunities. This time, it is our opportunity." Outside the palace, a group of Sea of Souls realm warriors rushed over. When they saw the red-robed man sitting in the middle of the palace, their expressions all changed. The man opened his eyes, which were filled with killing intent. "Since you are already here, then you will all die. Not good. Run." The aura exuded from the red-robed man was extremely tyrannical, like a volcano that was about to erupt. Before the crowd could even get close, they all felt like they were being roasted by the fire. They panicked and ran out of the hall, scattering in all directions. "Do you think you can run?" Dong. As soon as the red-robed man's voice fell, a huge flaming cage descended from the sky, trapping the group of people within it. There was no way out, no way out, no way out. "Let's fight him." Everyone who had been forced into a desperate situation performed all of their top attacks, attacking on the fire cage. Chi power exploding noises could be heard continuously. It was extremely intense. "I cannot break it open." Everyone had lost all hope. They realized that the fire cage was 10 times tougher than they had imagined. Not even a single pillar could break it. The man in red sneered as he put his hands together. Beams of light shot out everywhere inside the cage. It was actually countless spiral flame spikes shooting out crazily. Within a blink of an eye, only a pile of bone ash was left in the cage. "You have overestimated yourself." The man put away his storage ring and closed his eyes to continue his training. On the second day on the island, Yi Chen had finally recovered all of his yuan qi. Studying the lady, Yi Chen realized that she was still healing herself. Obviously, the long tree branch would not be able to heal her instantly, and she would need to rest for a while. This crafting room is different from the others. Not only is it 10 times bigger, but the treasure qi is also 10 times thicker. There are 5 furnaces in the middle, and 4 of them are on the 4 sides. In the middle, there is a huge furnace that is 10 meters tall. Perhaps there are great weapons stored inside. Walking to the furnace that was closest to him, Yi Chen paused for a second. Accumulating Jin Yuan in his palm, he opened the lid from a distance. Boom! A bright treasure qi shot out into the sky. Meanwhile, a crystal-like short blade shot out into the air, shooting out a beam of blade qi towards Yi Chen. Achem! Spontaneous blade qi. Yi Chen flicked out a beam of sword qi, which clashed with the incoming blade qi. Crack! The short blade backed out dozens of steps, shaking violently. Top of the top-rank great blade. The lady was woken up by the exploding sound. Her eyes brightened as she looked at the short blade happily, then looked at Yi Chen. She knew that she would not be able to compete with Yi Chen. Yi Chen knew what she was thinking, so he said, "For great weapons, you can pick one, but the one in the middle has to be mine. Do you want this short blade? Let's see." The lady did not dare to hope for the great weapon in the middle of the furnace, but the other 4 might be even better than the short blade. Hearing her, Yi Chen did not waste any more time and opened another lid. This time, it was a long spear that had fire crows carved on it. It was also a top-rank great weapon, and its aura was no weaker than the short blade. Just like the short blade, the long spear stabbed out toward Yi Chen the second it left the furnace. It was like a Sea of Souls realm warrior attacking Yi Chen with all of his power. Ting! Flicking away the long spear, Yi Chen did not even look at it before opening the third lid. Ting! An earth-shattering sword sound was heard. This time, it was a golden long sword that shook in the air. Sword qi spread out everywhere. Great sword! Yi Chen's heart skipped a beat as he reached out to grab the golden long sword. The golden long sword had been nurtured in the furnace for countless years, and it was a freshly made top-rank great weapon. It was extremely powerful as it attacked toward Yi Chen's arm. How could Yi Chen be attacked by an ownerless weapon? He flipped his wrist, grabbing onto the tip of the long sword with his index and middle fingers. Jin Yuan and Slaughter sword intent attacked toward it. Ting, ting. The golden long sword continued to shake before gradually calming down. A gold element top-rank great sword. It is way more powerful than that emerald long sword. Top-rank great weapons had different levels of power as well. The emerald long sword that Yi Chen had gotten from killing the sword artist in green was only a normal top-rank greatsword, which did not increase his attacking power that much. However, this golden longsword was a top-rank greatsword. After being nurtured in the furnace for countless years, it had gained a bit of spirituality and was at its peak. Holding the sword handle, Yi Chen casually waved out a sword attack. Shoo! The crescent-shaped golden sword chi spread out, blowing away the fourth lid. There was an extra cut mark on it, which was extremely sharp. Great sword. Yi Chen did not even look at the fourth great weapon as he continued to study the golden longsword in his hand. I will take this short blade. The fourth great weapon was a pair of gloves, which did not suit the lady's taste. Yi Chen waved his hand, and the short blade floating in the air flew toward her. Grabbing the blade, the lady studied it carefully before thanking Yi Chen. Putting away the three great weapons, Yi Chen looked at the huge furnace in the middle. The lady also stared at it without blinking. She was sure that the weapon inside must be at the semi-extreme rank. Open! Yi Chen threw out a punch and blew away the lid on the furnace. Woo! A powerful vibration was released. The golden long sword in Yi Chen's hand and the lady's short blade kept on shaking, as if they could not handle the pressure of the chi. Ting! A sword sound that was 10 times louder than the golden longsword was heard. Before the sword was even pulled out, a bright sword chi had already shot out, attacking the two. Not good. The lady waved her blade and created a light wall, trying her best to block out the incoming sword chi. A smile flashed past Yi Chen's face. It was another sword, and it seemed to be even more powerful than the golden longsword. Just the sword chi alone was equivalent to a full power attack from a spirit warrior. If he could hold it in his hand, its power would definitely double. Pap, 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 pap. All of the sword chi had been shattered by Yi Chen's sword before it could even get close to Yi Chen. As the sword chi disappeared, the great sword inside the furnace came out. The first thing that came out of the furnace was the sword handle, which was thin and long but powerful. Traces of deep electric currents surged around it, making a cracking sound. Then came the sword socket, which looked like the head of a wild beast. It spat out a long sword, which was unimaginably sharp. It was like a flash of lightning, yet also like a thunderbolt. When the tip of the sword appeared in the two's sight, their eyes felt like they were being stabbed, and tears started to fill up their eyes. Shoo! The great sword flashed once, stabbing towards Yi Chen's powerful sword chi. Yi Chen waved his sword to block the incoming attack. Chin! Sparks flew everywhere, and Yi Chen could not help but back out a couple of steps, his face blank. A great sword was able to push him back. Was this an extreme rank greatsword, or a semi-extreme rank greatsword? After thinking for a while, Yi Chen felt that it should not be an extreme rank greatsword. Back when the parallel space battlefield opened, the extreme rank axe's power was way more powerful than this sword's. It had even pierced through the ground. If this greatsword was an extreme rank greatsword, then it would have been able to wound him slightly. A semi-extreme rank greatsword, the lady blurted out before looking at Yi Chen with admiration. Although a semi-extreme rank greatsword was not as powerful as an extreme rank greatsword, it would still be a great weapon for Sea of Souls realm warriors. Even master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors would want to fight for it. Even some of the normal life and death realm warriors would be holding semi-extreme rank great weapons. It was not hard to imagine how tempting a semi-extreme rank great weapon would be. Chapter 529. Gold Resonant Radiance Sword Art. Before, Yi Chen did not have the time to leave his soul mark on the longsword, so he was not able to maximize its power. But now, once the mark was formed, the longsword seemed to have become his arm. The Zhen Yuan and the sword's power complemented each other, exploding with a golden blue sword light that could make the sun lose its color. The golden blue sword light flashed once before disappearing, slashing onto the dark blue longsword in the air. Ting! The sword sound was heard as this semi-extreme rank sword, which was obviously thunder element, shook its body. A layer of sword chi appeared around the sword body, which was indestructible, blocking out the golden blue sword light. It is just a sword. Do you really think that I cannot do anything to you? Yi Chen held the long sword in his right hand while his left hand kept shooting out void-shattering finger power or a sword chi tornado formed by Lotus Heart sword chi. All of a sudden, a clanging sound could be heard, along with thousands of sparks. Soon, that thick sword chi tornado was shattered, and the dark blue long sword backed out continuously. The lady's pupils shrank slightly. She had always been proud of her hidden weapon skills, thinking that even warriors at the same level as her would have to back out when facing her hidden weapons. However, compared to Yi Chen's sword chi tornado, it was nothing, even though it was not a hidden weapon. Dang! 2 rows of sparks spread out as Yi Chen threw out a sword attack at the dark blue long sword from a close distance. There was no way that the long sword could handle a solid sword attack from Yi Chen. The light on its surface exploded, and it was blown back a couple of times. Following closely behind, Yi Chen held the hilt of the long sword. TSS. TSS. Electricity surged out from the sword hilt, burning the Zhen Yuan on Yi Chen's palm. The two clashed intensely, cancelling each other out. Eventually, Yi Chen, who had endless Zhen Yuan to support him, had the last laugh. He had completely controlled the long sword and poured his Zhen Yuan into it, working with the power inside. Congratulations. The lady held her fists towards Yi Chen. You won't tell anyone, right? Yi Chen had the thought of killing him. The semi-extreme rank sword was not something to be underestimated. Perhaps life and death realm warriors would not make a move, but those Sea of Soul realm master level warriors would not care about it. If they knew about it, they would most likely come after him. But, thinking about it from another perspective, killing him for this reason would not go well with his sword Dao. The lady in red was shocked. She was afraid that Yi Chen would kill her to silence her. She quickly said, I know you must be worried, but please believe me. I will not say anything. In fact, if I can get out of here safely, I will find a place to live in seclusion and concentrate on my cultivation. I will not care about the affairs of the world. Why should I do something that harms others without benefiting myself? Of course, if you don't believe me, I can't do anything about it. Don't worry, I only swing my sword at my enemies. The thought of silencing the witness only flashed through Yi Chen's mind. He was the one who made the decision. Hearing him, the lady in red let out a breath and replied to Yi Chen with a smile before walking to the corner to continue her healing. Without paying attention to the lady in red, Yi Chen studied the gold long sword in his hand and thought to himself, the whole body is gold. It looks like it is made from gold. I will call it the gold sword then. The gold sword was 4 feet and 2 inches long, its body wider than normal swords. It was closer to a broadsword, but it was also a bit lighter. The back of the sword was very flat, with an ancient pattern carved on it. It extended all the way to the handle, which was perfect for one's palm to hold. The gold sword had a scabbard, which was inside the stove. Taking out the scabbard, Yi Chen put the gold sword back in and wore it on his waist. Putting away the gold sword, Yi Chen's eyes landed on the dark blue long sword. The dark blue long sword was 3 feet and 9 inches long, with a slim but powerful handle. The body of the sword was a bit thin, and the back of the sword was very thick. This kind of sword would not break easily during a battle, since its back was twice as thick as normal swords. On the body of the sword, there was a scattered thunder pattern extending from the handle all the way to the tip of the sword. As Zhen Yuan poured in, thunder and lightning surged on the sword body, eventually combining into one. It looked like a beam of lightning, but also like a slightly vibrating thunder. It was sharp and aggressive at the same time. It was not hard to imagine how powerful this kind of sword would be once it was stabbed out. Even a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior would not dare to ignore its attack. Near the sword's handle, there were 2 ancient characters carved on it, Thunder Disaster. Thunder Disaster Sword. Good name. I wonder if it has anything to do with the Thunder Punishment Sword. Semi-extreme rank weapons were replicas of extreme rank weapons. Therefore, most of the time, The names of the weapons were very similar to the actual extreme rank weapons. The Thunder Punishment Sword was a famous extreme rank sword in history, and there were many replicas of it. Some were called Thunder Roar, some were called 10,000 Thunder, and some were called Light Thunder. If the Thunder Disaster Sword was a replica of the Thunder Punishment Sword, it would not be surprising at all. Thunder Disaster. Thunder Disaster. So aggressive. Yi Chen liked the Thunder Disaster Sword a lot. He could feel a kind of spirit from it, a spirit that could cut through everything. A sword with spirit would not be bad at all. Leaving a soul mark on a semi-extreme rank sword was a very tiring task. Fortunately, Yi Chen's soul power was 5 times that of normal Sea of Souls realm warriors. After spending 2 hours, Yi Chen managed to leave his own soul mark on the sword. With the soul mark, an unshakable connection had been formed between the sword and him, allowing it to explode with even more power. Ting! When the Thunder Disaster Sword was put back into its scabbard, it let out a clear and melodious sound, which was different from normal swords. Without the Thunder Disaster Sword on his waist, he would not be able to use it for a very long time in the future. The so-called treasure belonged to the fated, but it was not applicable in this world. This world was all about the strong, and treasures should belong to the strong. Although I have the Thunder Disaster Sword, it is still impossible to fight against the Iron Palm Master. I have to use this opportunity to train the Dragon Blood Plant. With a bit of dragon power, I might be able to escape from the Iron Palm Master. Yi Chen was very afraid of the Iron Palm Master's fire cage. If he could not cut through it, he would not be able to escape. Therefore, training the Dragon Blood Plant was a must. Sitting down with his legs crossed, Yi Chen took out the Dragon Blood Plant. On the surface, the Dragon Blood Plant did not look that special. It only had one long leaf, which was blood red in color. There was no bright spirit light coming from it, but if one looked deeper, they would realize that the spirit chi of the plant was all concentrated inside, not leaking out at all. One could even see a tiny dragon-shaped energy on the veins of the leaf, which was twisting and turning, giving people a deep sense of fear. Dragon Blood Plant. It is a top-rank spirit plant that contains dragon blood. I wonder how powerful it will be. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen swallowed the Dragon Blood Plant and tried his best to circulate his Jin Yuan, training the medicinal power and spirit chi of the plant. A woo. A vague dragon roar was heard in Yi Chen's head. Yi Chen seemed to see a majestic dragon flying in the sky, its eyes like lightning as it looked down on everything. The slaughter sword intent exploded, cutting away the influence brought by the dragon roar. Yi Chen recovered his calm state of mind and focused on training the Dragon Blood Plant. Chapter 530. Soon, 3 days had passed. The lady had already woken up from her healing state. She looked very energetic, not looking like she did a couple of days ago. Seeing that Yi Chen was still training the Dragon Blood Plant, she did not disturb him. Instead, she stayed far away from him and took out her short blade to play with it, trying to familiarize herself with it. Just like that, another day had passed. Pap. On this day, Yi Chen's body had changed. A circle of invisible qi spread out from his body, clashing with the air. At the same time, his body shone with a red crystal light. His hair, facial features, and even his clothes were dyed red, as if they were made from red crystals. Rank 2 spirit body? A surprised expression flashed past the lady's face. The spirit bodies were divided into different ranks. Warriors who had just reached the Sea of Souls realm would usually have rank 1 spirit bodies. After decades of training or some special encounters, they would be able to reach rank 2. Master level Sea of Souls realm warriors would usually have rank 3 spirit bodies, and rank 3 would be the limit of Sea of Souls realm warriors. Only a small number of master level Sea of Souls realm warriors would be able to reach rank 3 peak level. As for rank 4, it would be very rare. The reason that Yi Chen was able to reach rank 2 spirit body this fast was partly because of the Dragon Blood Plant, but more importantly, it should be because of his own body. People with a strong foundation would be able to reach rank 2 spirit body faster. I am still only at rank 2 spirit body. He is so young, and his spirit body has reached rank 2 as well. It is really annoying to compare with others. The lady shook her head and forced a smile. She could tell that not only was Yi Chen's spirit body at rank 2, but his sword spirit was also at rank 4. Otherwise, it would be hard to explain how he could beat her old friend at peak level early Sea of Souls realm. The red crystal light disappeared as soon as it was released, merging into Yi Chen's body. Faintly, Yi Chen, who had his eyes closed, let out a breath of impure qi. After his spiritual physique grew to the second order, Yi Chen felt that his physique had risen by a whole new level. Regardless of whether it was his ability to endure damage or his defensive capabilities, they were all stronger than a first-order spiritual physique. If one were to compare the body to a vessel, before cultivating the spiritual physique, the body would be like a wooden barrel. After cultivating the first-order spiritual physique, the body would be like an iron barrel, and after cultivating the second-order spiritual physique, the body would be like a barrel made of steel. Thinking about it, the strength of Chu Zhongqian's physique was at least at the second-order spiritual physique, or even at the pinnacle of the second order. My spirit body has advanced from Tier 1 to Tier 2, but the increase in strength is not much. It's just that it's stronger. Next, it's time to refine the dragon power. After expelling the turbid air, Yi Chen took a deep breath and circulated the Zhenyuan in his body, washing away the residual medicinal energy of the dragon blood grass. The remaining medicinal energy was very tenacious. Like a small dragon, it swam through Yi Chen's blood and flesh, desperately avoiding the pursuit of true essence. Yi Chen set up layers of seals all over his body and gradually narrowed the battle circle. Only then was he able to control the remaining medicinal power of the dragon bloodgrass within a narrow area and nibbled at it bit by bit. Awoo! When half of the medicinal energy had been digested, a light dragon roar was heard from inside Yi Chen's body. Right then, the lady in red sensed the dragon power from Yi Chen's body. It was a light dragon power that she had sensed from a rank 10 flood dragon before, so it was very familiar. Dragon power! An envious look flashed through the lady's face. The spirit body was still a spirit body, but it did not mean that the body was powerful. It only meant that the body would be more powerful. Some of the body training warriors would still be more powerful than the Seas of Souls realm warriors who had trained their spirit bodies, even if they had not trained their spirit bodies yet. Moreover, with a bit of dragon power, it would be enough to increase their power drastically, and their close combat power would be as powerful as body training warriors. Pap, pap. After the dragon roar, a popping sound was heard from inside Yi Chen's body. It was Yi Chen's own qi power being assimilated by the dragon power. The dragon power was a higher level qi power, and the normal qi power trained by the pure jade body boosting spell would not be able to compete with the dragon power at all. So powerful. Yi Chen could feel that every inch of his body was filled with explosive power. It was hard to describe, as if he could shatter a mountain. Once all of the dragon power is extracted, my power should be more than 200,000 pounds. The thought flashed through his mind as Yi Chen continued to train the medicinal power. The process continued until the night of the same day. Boom! The air in the crafting room exploded violently as a shapeless dragon-shaped qi power rushed out of Yi Chen's body, waving its claws and teeth. Success! The lady looked at Yi Chen. Right then, although Yi Chen did not look any different, his aura was extremely refined. One look from him was enough to make people feel pressured. Standing up slowly, Yi Chen threw out a punch. Boom! 10 meters away, the crafting furnace left the ground and landed on the wall, making a loud noise. On the surface of the furnace, there was a light fist mark. Before, my power was only around 150,000 pounds. But with the addition of one strand of dragon power, my power has reached more than 200,000 pounds. The dragon power is indeed the top qi power. Every strand of it is pure, without any impurities. On this true spirit continent, most of the warriors trained Zhenyuan, and very few of them trained qi power. But it did not mean that qi power had nothing to do with them. When the Zhenyuan circulated, the warrior's body would change as well. Normally, warriors who had just reached the Sea of Souls realm would have more than 100,000 pounds of power. Therefore, the stronger the power, the more powerful the close combat power would be. If two Sea of Souls realm warriors were to fight at a close distance, and one had more than 100,000 pounds of power while the other had more than 200,000 pounds of power, what would the result be? With my power right now, I only have 40% chance of escaping from the palace. Of course, if I leave you behind, then I will have 50% chance. Yi Chen said without beating around the bush. The lady had obviously thought about it before, so she said, I have a Heaven Fire Thunder Pearl, which can increase the chance to 80 to 90%. Heaven Fire Thunder Pearl. Yi Chen looked surprised. Just like the Silver Light Thunder Bomb, the Heaven Fire Thunder Pearl was also a powerful hidden weapon. But of course, the two were not at the same level. The former could only threaten normal clasping Yuan Realm Warriors, while the latter could threaten Spirit Realm Warriors. It would not be impossible to use it to stop the Iron Palm Master for a while. Alright, let's take a rest first. After a week, we will try our best to break out. With the Heaven Fire Thunder Pearl, the chance would indeed be 80 to 90%. But, they still could not let their guard down. There were too many accidents in this world, and they could happen at any time. They had to adjust their condition to the peak before coming up with a detailed plan to break out. It has been 2 months since the Treasure River Island appeared. Do we really have to waste time on these two? Inside the palace, the man in red had an impatient look on his face. The Treasure River Island appeared once in 100 years. If they tried their best to search for the treasures, it would be more than what they had gained in the past 10 years. If they waited here, they would not be able to get anything. If it were not for the fact that people came here all the time to give him treasures, he might not be so patient. No, I have already waited for so many days. If I give up now, it would be a waste of time. I have to wait for them to come out. The man in red's face was full of anger and hostility. 1 week later, inside the metal door, are you ready? Yi Chen asked. The lady in red took a deep breath and said a bit nervously, ready, let's go. His palm pressed hard on the switch. Yi Chen's body tightened as he was ready to go. Boom. The metal door rose up at a fast speed. Haha, they are out. The red-robed man's eyes lit up. After waiting for half a month, the two of them had finally appeared. The red-robed man stood up and stared at the metal door. As long as the two of them appeared, he would use his lightning-fast methods to kill them. When the metal door was about 1 meter high, a blue shadow shot out. Gold Resonant Radiance Attack. The gold and blue sword light attacked toward the man in red. It was indeed Yi Chen. The man in red did not expect Yi Chen to attack him first, so his reaction was a bit slow. But no matter how slow he was still able to handle Yi Chen's full-power sword attack and fight back. Boom! The gold long sword and the palm clashed together, causing a shockwave to spread out. Go! Right then, Yi Chen's body turned into a shadow as he avoided the man's attack and rushed out while staying close to the ground. As for the lady in red, she had already jumped out when Yi Chen and the man in red were fighting. Walking in front of Yi Chen, she was less than 30 meters away from the door. Do you think you can leave? The man in red sneered as he quickly formed a spell with both of his hands. Endless fire Yuan Qi gathered at a shocking speed, forming into a huge fire cage that trapped the two. If I were you, I would not come out. Once I do, I will definitely die. Seeing the two trapped in his fire cage, the man in red seemed to be a lot more relaxed. He did not think that the two would be able to get out. If they could, then there would be no point for him to exist as a Master Level C of Soul's Realm Warrior. But then, something unexpected happened. Yi Chen took out a dark blue long sword from his storage ring. The sword body was like lightning and thunder as he threw out a sword attack at one of the pillars of the fire cage. Break! The dragon power and Jin Yuan exploded at full power, and Yi Chen's spirit, qi, and mentality were extremely concentrated. Catcher! The fire pillar was broken open, and Yi Chen and the lady in red got out of the fire cage. They flashed once and appeared outside of the palace. Impossible! How could he break open my fire cage with one sword attack? Yi Chen did not completely break open the fire cage, but only 2 pillars. But, for the man in red, it was the same as breaking his own fire cage. How could he not be shocked and angry? Get back here! The aggressive fire element Jin Yuan exploded as the man in red tried to chase after them. With his speed, It would be easy for him to catch up with one of the two. Something unexpected happened again. The lady in red turned around, holding a red ball in her right hand. She threw it toward the man in red, which contained a horrifying chi. Boom! The flame spread out, and a burning ball of fire appeared. It expanded rapidly, blocking the way of the man in red and bouncing him back. Seeing this, Yi Chen did not relax at all. His Zhen Yuan formed waves of sword light outside of his body as he reached out to grab the lady and flew out at a shocking speed. Within a blink of an eye, they had traveled dozens of miles. After 2 to 3 blinks of an eye, they had already reached the edge of the sky. Waving his palm to put out the fireball, the man in red shot out of the palace. He looked around, but could not find Yi Chen and the lady. He was not willing to give up, so he pushed his soul power with all of his power. As long as they were within 100 miles, they would not be able to escape from his senses. What? You are already 100 miles away? The man in red could not sense anything, so he was so mad. Chapter 531. Oh right. He had changed to a dark blue longsword in the fire prison. Cutting open the fire prison must have something to do with that long sword. Could it be a semi-extreme rank great sword? Yes, it must be a semi-extreme rank great sword. Otherwise, he would not be able to cut open the fire prison. The speed at which Yi Chen had changed his sword was very fast. Before, the man in red did not think much of it. But now that he thought about it, he found something suspicious. After all, if the longsword was not that strange, then why would he change it? It must be to cut open the fire prison. Semi-extreme rank great sword. A sharp light shone in the man's eyes. Although he had been focusing on palm arts, with a semi-extreme rank great sword and some profound sword attacks, his power would definitely increase to the next level. In this world, only the powerful ones would be respected. No one would care about what kind of methods you use to increase your power. After flying for 800 miles without stopping, Yi Chen finally stopped at the edge of the island. It seems like we have gotten rid of him. It was because he was afraid that the Iron Palm Master would lock onto them with his soul power that Yi Chen performed his sword light flying art and escaped at his fastest speed. Before he reached the Sea of Souls realm, his sword-light flying art could reach 15 times the speed of sound. But now, it had reached an even more unbelievable level, reaching 20 times the speed of sound. With that, he would be able to travel 13 miles within a second, which was almost the same as master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. The lady let out a breath and smiled at Yi Chen. "Thank you. You are welcome. Without your heaven fire blasting pearl, I might not have been able to escape successfully." After that, Yi Chen looked around and said, "I am going out now. This island is not that big, only 1,000 miles in radius. If I continue to stay here, I might run into the Iron Palm Master again." "Yeah, you are right." The lady nodded. Shoo, shoo. The two went through the colorful light that was covered by clouds and mist, arriving outside of the island. "Someone's coming out, kill." Around the island, a huge amount of Sea of Souls realm warriors had gathered. There were groups in the east and the west, and even the smallest group had dozens of people. Because they were not powerful enough, they could not enter the island. Therefore, they decided to join up with other warriors who were not allowed to enter and form a group to kill and steal the treasures. But of course, since the island had a radius of 1,000 miles, it would be impossible to lock it all down. So, they could only try their luck. They formed groups of dozens of people, guarding different spots around the island. Once someone came out, they would attack together. Yi Chen and the lady in red were not that lucky. Once they got out, they were attacked by 20 Sea of Souls realm warriors, some of which were even spirit-level warriors. Courting death. Having lost 2 of her companions, the lady in red was in a terrible mood. She had nowhere to vent her anger, and the attack of these people had undoubtedly given her the opportunity to vent her anger. Hidden weapons that looked like petals shot out like a goddess scattering flowers, or 100 flowers blooming in full bloom. Pu. 3 or 4 of them had been hit by the hidden weapons, their bodies turning into sieves. On the side, Yi Chen shook his head. These people were really unlucky. Of all people, they had to ambush the 2 of them. Fortunately, he did not plan to kill them all. He held his gold long sword and waved it casually. With one sword attack, 5 or 6 people had been cut into pieces. The rest of them were scared out of their wits, trying to escape. "All right, let's split up here." After blowing away all the Sea of Souls realm warriors who had been hiding in ambush, Yi Chen said goodbye and flew toward the South Rudra region. Looking at Yi Chen's back as he left, the lady in red had a heavy heart. There were 3 of them when they came, but now, she was the only one left. It was kind of sad. "I will take care of your family for you," she muttered to herself. Then, she flew back the way she had come. She disappeared into the horizon after a short while. 200 miles east of the South Rudra Martial School, a massive manor had already been built. It was right next to the mountains and rivers. Birds were singing and flowers were fragrant. There were a lot of warriors walking around, most of them wearing the Yi family's long robes. Inside a yard near the mountain, a waterfall was pouring down. A couple of osmanthus trees were growing vigorously, and 2 kids were playing under them. Next to them, Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing were sitting on stone chairs, chatting while drinking tea. A beam of light approached at an extreme speed. When it arrived above the Yi family, the light disappeared, and a young man in blue landed down. It was indeed Yi Chen. "Chenna." Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing stood up, a smile appearing on their faces. Yi Chen patted on Yi Xian and Yi Xiaoxiao's heads, looked around, and said with a smile, "Father, Mother, how is the environment of the new manor?" "Hee, we have money and people. How could the manor be bad?" It was not hard to tell that Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing were in a good mood. Shen Yuqing said, "Chenna, what did you experience this time? Tell me." As parents, they always wanted to know more about their children, and Shen Yuqing was no exception. Yi Chen told them about his experience. Of course, he purposely left out the Iron Palm Martial School incident, as he did not want his parents to worry. He then said, "This time, I got 5-star spirit fruits and 6 meridian cutting plants on the Treasure River Island." The meridian cutting plant can increase one's potential and speed up a warrior's training. The star spirit fruit can help a peak-level late clasping Yuan realm warrior reach the astral reaching realm smoothly. What? Meridian cutting plant and star spirit fruit? Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing were not ignorant people. They had heard about the famous meridian cutting plant and star spirit fruit before. These two spirit plants were definitely priceless treasures for warriors. It was said that 50 years ago, there was a bloody battle in the Windy Nation's martial world, and the reason was because a star spirit fruit had appeared in a valley. They did not expect that Yi Chen would be able to bring back 5 star spirit fruits and 6 meridian cutting plants. Although they were now peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm warriors, without any accidents, they might not even be able to reach the astral reaching realm within 3 to 5 years. It might also take 7 to 8 years, or even 10 years. After 10 years, they would be in their 60s, and they would look a bit older. But now, with the star spirit fruit, they would be able to reach the astral reaching realm in a short period of time. They would have a lifespan of 200 years, and their appearance would stay the same, neither too young nor too old. These are the star spirit fruits and the meridian cutting plants. Under his parents' curious gaze, Yi Chen took out 5 sparkling fruits and 6 curled-up yellow plants. Taking over the fruit, Shen Yuqing smiled from ear to ear. In a woman's mind, besides family, age and appearance were the most important things. 1 star spirit fruit would allow her to become an astral reaching realm warrior earlier, giving her a lifespan of 200 years. What did 200 years of lifespan mean? Everyone knew about it. It meant that the speed of aging would be slowed down by 2 times. Plus, since they were already in their 40s, after entering the astral reaching realm, they would be able to maintain their current appearance for a long time. Haha, Yuqing, it is so nice to have a good son. Yi Tianhao had a happy expression on his face. Seeing that both their parents and brother were so happy, Yi Xian and Yi Xiaoxiao also laughed like idiots. Chapter 532. The newly built manor was very large, several times larger than the Yi family's manor in Luo City. The continuous stretch of buildings stretched from the top of the mountain all the way to the foot of the mountain. It looked prosperous and extraordinary. The manor was located on a famous mountain near the Rudra Martial School, the Misty Mountain. Therefore, from now on, the manor was called the Misty Mountain Yi family, the main family of the Yi family. At the peak of Mount Yunwu, the wind was fierce and the fog was thick. Although my comprehension ability has increased by several times and I can easily comprehend profoundness, it won't be easy for me to delve deeper. Yi Chen stood quietly on a rock at the top of a mountain, his clothes fluttering in the wind. Compared to 2 months ago, Yi Chen had made some progress. His wood element profound sword art amaranthine nature had increased from 60% to 70%, and his profound movement art separating shadows had also increased from 60% to 70%. As for his sky thundercut and gold resonant radiant sword art, they were still at 70% and 80% respectively. The sky thundercut was a sword movement created by Yi Chen, and it was not easy for it to reach its current level. After all, Yi Chen had just reached the Sea of Souls realm not long ago. Ordinary Sea of Souls realm experts might not be able to create their own profound sense martial skills even after 10 or 20 years. They would usually learn from others. No matter what, my current comprehension is indeed incomparable to before. If I spend some time, I'll definitely be able to comprehend a few of the major sword techniques to the level of mastery. A couple of years ago, Yi Chen thought that the comprehensive ability was just like this, and that it would be hard to improve it. But now, he knew that he was wrong. Soul power was actually the root of the comprehensive ability. Once the soul power was strong, the comprehensive ability would be strong as well. Of course, once one reached the Sea of Souls realm, they would be able to understand the essence of some things, which would increase their learning speed. Buzz. A strong fluctuation of primordial chi came from the mountainside of Mount Yunwu. He broke through. I wonder if it's my father? Or mother? 3 days ago, Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing had begun closed-door training, attempting to break through to the astral reaching realm. Heh! Both father and mother have broken through? A look of surprise flashed in Yi Chen's eyes. Less than 10 minutes after the first wave of Yuan Qi fluctuation, another wave of Yuan Qi fluctuation spread out. They are really a married couple. Yi Chen chuckled, then flashed his body and shot towards the mountainside. Congratulations, father and mother. In the courtyard, Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing were both there. Yi Chen bowed with a smile on his face. Yi Tianhao said with a grin, I had always hoped that our Yi family would have an astral reaching realm warrior and bring glory to our family. Then, Chenna, you reached the astral reaching realm, so this wish was fulfilled. But, I had never thought that I would be able to break through to the astral reaching realm. This feeling, I really don't know how to describe it. Actually, you don't need the star spirit fruit. In a couple of years, you will also be able to reach the astral reaching realm. Yi Chen only wanted his parents to reach the astral reaching realm as soon as possible. This way, they would be able to maintain their current appearance, and not continue to age. At this moment, Shen Yuqing said, your father and I know ourselves. Without your unconditional support, Chenna, we would not be able to reach the peak-level late clasping Yuan realm in a couple of years, not to mention the astral reaching realm we are now. Yuqing is right. Yi Tianhao nodded. Yi Chen forced a smile. What are you talking about? You are my parents. It is natural for a son to help his parents. In his previous life, he was an orphan, and had never felt the warmth of a family. After coming to this world, he had merged with the feelings of this world's Yi Chen. In his eyes, Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing were his parents. It was natural, and there was no barrier between them. In the end, the Yi Chen of this world was not him, but he was the Yi Chen of this world. It meant that he had two identities. Therefore, he had accepted that he had parents from the very beginning. Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing also felt that it was a bit strange. A son helping his parents was a son's way of showing his filial piety. There was no need for him to worry about anything else. Jin Yuan is indeed not something Jin Qi can compete with. The explosive power is more than 5 times stronger than before. The two had just made a breakthrough, so they were still not familiar with Jin Yuan. They could not help but exclaim from time to time. Yi Chen said, wait until you have stabilized your current cultivation, then you can take the Earth Astral Pellet and increase your cultivation to the peak level early astral reaching realm. As for the future, you will have to rely on yourselves. The spirit plant pellets for increasing your cultivation level are hard to come by. This time, it was all luck. Hihi, right now I feel like I am dreaming. Once I reach the astral reaching realm, I will have a lifespan of 200 years, which is twice as long as before. Yeah. Shen Yuqing had the same feeling. She cared about her lifespan the most. According to the calculation of 200 years, 90 years would only be equivalent to 40 years for clasping Yuan realm warriors. And she was in her 40s right now, which meant that she would not age for the next 40 years. She would still look like Yi Chen's mother, since Yi Chen had stopped changing his appearance a long time ago. He was supposed to be 24 or 25 years old, but he looked like he was in his early 20s. Seeing his parents so happy, Yi Chen was just as happy. Actually, he had been troubled by a problem for a long time, which was that as time went on, his parents would eventually grow old. In 10 years, they would look a bit older, and in 20 or 30 years, they would be old people. Fortunately, the problem had been solved, so he let out a sigh of relief. Shoo! In the sky, a beam of light sliced through the sky at an extreme speed, reaching 20 times the speed of sound. When it was close to the Rudra Martial School, it stopped abruptly. It was a middle-aged man in black robes. He was huge, with wide shoulders and long legs, looking very mysterious. He suddenly stopped because 2 people had appeared in front of him. One was the leader of the Rudra Martial School, Long Bai, and the other was a handsome young man with silver hair. He looked to be 1 or 2 years younger than Long Bai, around 30 years old. "Who are you?" The man in black robes had a very powerful aura, and Long Bai could not see through it. Only Master Level C of Soul's Realm warriors would be able to do that to her. But she was not worried at all. The man in black revealed a smile. "Leader Long, nice to meet you. I am Murong Jishui. You are the leader of the Murong family." Hearing him, Long Bai immediately knew who Murong Jishui was. He was the leader of the Murong family, a demi-demon family in the South Rudra region, which was also Murong Qingqing's father. She just did not know why he was here. Indeed. "And this is..." Murong Jishui looked at the silver-haired young man. He said lightly, "Mo Feng." Mo Feng, the leader of the White Dragon Palace, Missouri Feng. A shocked expression flashed past Murong Jishui's face, but he soon realized something. No wonder the old Dragon King did not worry about Long Bai coming to the Windy Nation alone to build the South Rudra Martial School. It turned out that it was not only Long Bai who had come, but also the leader of the White Dragon Palace, Missouri Feng. "What is your purpose for coming here?" Long Bai asked. "Yi Chen is living around here, right?" Murong Jishui did not answer her question. "Looking for Yi Chen? You are not here for your daughter, Murong Qingqing, are you?" Long Bai seemed to know something, so she said with a faint smile. Murong Jishui forced himself to say, "Indeed. He, Yi Chen is in the Misty Mountain 200 miles east of the South Rudra Martial School." Long Bai pointed in the direction of the mountain. "Thank you. I will go first then." After saying that, Murong Jishui turned into a beam of light and disappeared. He is indeed the leader of the demi-demon family in the South Rudra region. Although he is not that famous, he is still not something that normal Master Level C of Soul's Realm warriors can compete with. "Mo Feng, what do you think?" The silver-haired young man said, "Very powerful." Hearing Mo Feng's words, Long Bai had a rough idea of Murong Jishui's power. In front, Murong Jishui, who was flying at a high speed, turned around to look. "The leader of the White Dragon Palace, Missouri Feng, is here. Plus the great-granddaughter of the Dragon King, it is quite important. It seems like the old Dragon King really cares about Yi Chen." A smile appeared on his face as Murong Jishui became more confident. "Young master, someone named Murong Jishui is here to see you. He is in the lobby." Outside the yard, a servant from the Yi family came to report. "Murong Jishui." Yi Chen frowned. "Tell him that I will be right there." "Yes." The footsteps disappeared into the distance. Stopping his training, Yi Chen mumbled to himself, "There are not many people with the surname Murong in the South Rudra region. It seems like there is only the Murong family. Perhaps it is her family. But why would her family come to see me? Perhaps something happened to her. I should go check it out first." Putting the long sword back into the scabbard, Yi Chen walked out of the yard. In the huge lobby, a man in black was drinking tea, looking very patient. Footsteps were heard, and Yi Chen walked in. "You are Yi Chen." It was the first time that Murong Jishui had met Yi Chen, so he could not help but be shocked by his age and qi. Although he had seen his picture before, it was not even 1/10 of the real person. "I am indeed Yi Chen. May I ask who you are?" "I am Qingqing's father, the current leader of the Murong family, Murong Jishui." "Ah, it is Uncle Murong." Yi Chen held his fists together and said, "I wonder how Murong is doing." "Good, and not good at the same time." Sitting in front of Murong Jishui, Yi Chen asked, "What do you mean? Do you know what kind of bloodline our Murong family has?" "The demi-demon bloodline. She even told you about this. It seems like I did not come here for nothing." Murong Jishui was not surprised at all that Yi Chen knew about this. Yi Chen's expression did not change, as he waited for him to continue. "Since you know that our Murong family is a branch of the demi-demon family, then you should also know that in order to ensure the purity of the bloodline, the demi-demon family forbids marriage with outsiders. They can only marry within the family." Yi Chen nodded. "I know. Murong told me about it. When Qingqing came back last time, she really surprised me. Not only did her bloodline grow to the perfect demi-bloodline, but she also had a trace of demon power essence in her body. But because of that, some things have been pushed forward. As her father, I have to come and find you. Uncle, if you have anything to say, just say it. Murong Jishue smiled and said, My Murong family is a demi-demon family, but it is only a branch of the demi-demon family. Therefore, the marriage within the family does not refer to the marriage within the Murong family, but the marriage within the entire demi-demon family. Let me ask you, are you interested in my daughter? If not, then I will not say more about what will happen next, because it is meaningless. If you are, then there will be a meaning in saying it. Yi Chen had thought about this question a long time ago. In his previous life, he had been in a relationship once, but it had ended in failure. Now that he was in this world, he did not want to get involved in a relationship so early, but he could not stop his feelings. No matter if it was Xu Jing or Murong Qingcheng, he cared a bit about them both. At the same time, he was a bit troubled. Sometimes, he would think about which one he cared about more. But there was no conclusion. The two gave him different feelings, so he could not compare them. Chapter 533. With that thought in mind, Yi Chen nodded without hesitation. For warriors, they would train their mind at the same time as they trained. Only by focusing on their own mind would they be able to reach a higher realm. If they kept lying to themselves, they would eventually fall into the heart demon and never be able to get out of it. Seeing Yi Chen nod, Murong Jishue chuckled. It would be great if there was one. If there was none, then he would have come here for nothing. He would feel bad for his daughter as well, since he could tell that his daughter actually cared about Yi Chen a lot. It was just that her personality was not good at expressing it. I have been paying attention to you for a long time. There are spies from my family in the Windy Nation as well. Pausing for a second, Murong Jishue continued to say, although Qingcheng looks so calm, she is actually not good at expressing her feelings. It is the same at home and with me. Only when she is with her mother would she show the emotions of a little girl. Therefore, she is different from you. Although this is the first time we have met, I can tell that everything you say and do comes from your heart. Even answering this kind of question is very calm. Murong Jishue liked Yi Chen a lot. His mentality was not only admirable, but also frightening. What kind of environment could create such a mentality? This kind of mentality was something that even life and death realm warriors might not have. He was neither humble nor arrogant, and was always honest to himself. It turned out that Murong Jishue still had this side to him. Hearing Murong Jishue's words, Yi Chen chuckled to himself. Uncle, what happened? Yi Chen asked. Murong Jishue said, Qingcheng is not that young anymore. Originally, she was supposed to marry Yuan Yi from the Yuan family in half a year. But, what we did not expect was that after Qingcheng came back from the outside world, her bloodline had already grown to the perfect demon bloodline. Because some of the masters in the family were very supportive of the marriage, the news had already reached the Yuan family. They were afraid that something bad might happen if they waited too long, so they pushed the wedding forward by 3 months. In other words, in 3 months, it would be the wedding day of Qingcheng and Yuan Yi. Yuan family is a demi-demon family? Indeed. There are more than 20 different families in the demi-demon family. Among them, the Yuan family is the most powerful one, which is the main family of our demi-demon family. As for Yuan Yi, he is one of the top warriors among the young generation of the Yuan family. Plus, he is just like Qingcheng, with the perfect demi-demon bloodline. He has already awakened his special power. Once Qingcheng and Yuan Yi get married, their children will definitely have the perfect demi-demon bloodline as well. That is the meaning of this marriage. Yi Chen frowned. What do you need me to do? Murong Jishue smiled, very simple, snatched Qingcheng back. Yi Chen was a bit surprised, although I also do not want Qingcheng to marry Yuan Yi, but I do not understand why you, as a member of the demi-demon family, would not want Qingcheng to marry Yuan Yi. Normally, demi-demons can only marry demi-demons, which is the rule of your demi-demon family. Plus, I am a human, not a demi-demon. Being with Qingcheng would be breaking the rule of the demi-demon family. Of course, I know that. I just do not want to see Qing Cheng marry someone she does not like, especially when he is a member of the Yuan family. I am not afraid of you laughing at me, but back in the day, I had a lover, and we loved each other very much. We could have been husband and wife, because she was also a demi-demon. But in the end, we did not get together because of the bloodline. Her demi-demon bloodline was very high, almost reaching the perfect demi-demon bloodline. Therefore, she was forced to marry into the Yuan family. As he spoke up to her, Murong Jishue's voice turned cold. Why can the Yuan family do whatever they want to our branch family? The ones with the higher bloodline have to marry into the Yuan family, and the pretty ones have to marry into the Yuan family as well. What kind of rule is this? The worst part is that there are a lot of branches of the Yuan family, and the women with the higher bloodline will not marry into the branch family. Instead, the branches of the Yuan family will marry into each other, as long as they are 3 generations away. They do not care about our branch family at all. This is indeed very selfish. In Yi Chen's opinion, the Yuan family was like a blood-sucking bug. The essence of the branch family kept flowing into the Yuan family, which made the Yuan family prosperous. On the other hand, the branch family would never be able to surpass the Yuan family, and might even start to weaken. Now, you understand why I am doing this, right? Murong Jishue looked at Yi Chen. Yi Chen looked back at him and said, "You said it yourself. The Yuan family is the main family of the demi-demon family. So, there would definitely be life and death realm warriors in the main family. Are you sure that I alone can fight against the Yuan family, and even challenge the whole rule of the demi-demon family? If it were someone else, I would not be able to, but you can. Why? Because you have the leader of the Dragon God Heaven Palace, the Dragon King, behind you. With him as your support, who in the demi-demon family would dare to oppress you? Even the demi-demon king would not dare to do so. Without the support of the Dragon King and Shenhu, the situation of the demi-demon family might not be as good as it is now. You also know that we demi-demons have the bloodline of the demons inside us after all. So, a lot of life and death realm warriors are hostile to us. Is it the Dragon King?" Yi Chen nodded. Indeed, with the Dragon King as his support, the demi-demon family would not do anything to kill him, because it would be the same as turning against the Dragon King. It was not because he was arrogant, but because he had reached the Sea of Souls realm before the age of 25, and had the power of a top spirit warrior. It would be impossible for the Dragon King to not value him. Although he really wanted to rely on himself, in this world, which martial genius did not have a powerful background? Without a powerful background, people would kill you without waiting for you to grow up. Having a powerful background was also a part of one's power, and it was an unchanging truth. With that thought in mind, Yi Chen had already made up his mind. In fact, even if the Dragon King did not come, he would not just watch Murong Jishure get married. If she got married, he would have regrets and flaws in his heart. If he had the power to stop it, why not? Everything had to be fought for by himself, regardless of the result. "What is your choice?" Murong Jishure asked. Yi Chen said, "Since you do not care about the rules of the demi-demons, then why should I?" "Oh right, does Murong know that you are here?" "I did not tell her why I am here. I think she would have guessed it for sure. Besides, it is not that I do not care about the rules, but your value is way beyond the rules. With your current achievement, I am afraid that you will become a life and death realm warrior in a couple of years. By then, who would dare to talk behind your back?" It was true that Murong Jishure valued Yi Chen's background. But, if Yi Chen was not that powerful himself and did not have enough potential, he would not have come. Breaking the rules of the demi-demons was not a joke, and there would be consequences. Right now, he could only place his hope on Yi Chen. But, he believed that if it were anyone else, they would also bet on Yi Chen's potential, since he was so young. Yi Chen naturally knew that Murong Jishure was not only looking for Murong Jishure's happiness, but there must be something else that he did not know about. But, he did not care, since he knew that Murong Jishure had his own purpose. Anyway, he could not let Murong Jishure marry Yuan Yi. "Chenna, who is this?" Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing walked into the living room. Yi Chen introduced, "Father, Mother, this is the leader of the Murong family, Murong Jishure. Uncle, These are my parents. Haha, brother Yi, sister Shen, is it too rude for me to call you guys like this? Murongji Shui was a bit older than Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing. It was only because of his higher cultivation that he looked younger. He did not look down on the two who were only at early astral reaching realm, since they were Yi Chen's parents, and they might become in-laws in the future. So, no matter what, he had to build a good relationship with them. Soon, the three got familiar with each other. Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing also vaguely knew what they were here for, so they had a smile on their faces. Brother Yi, sister Shen, I would like to borrow Yi Chen for a while. You won't object, right? He did not go straight to the point. Instead, he revealed a bit about Yi Chen and his daughter before saying that he wanted to borrow Yi Chen. Indeed, Yi Tianhao hurried to nod and said, not just for a while, even 3 to 5 years would be fine. This was related to his son's lifelong happiness. If he really could not see his son for 3 to 5 years, he would have to hold back his longing. All right, brother Yi is indeed reasonable. Let's not waste any more time. Yi Chen, come back to the Murong family with me. 3 months is not that long, but it is not that short either. Even going to the Yuan family would take a long time. Murongji Shui stood up and said. Yi Chen looked at his parents, then, Chenna will leave with Uncle Murong first. Yeah. Shen Yuqing nodded and reminded, be careful out there. Chenna knows. After that, Yi Chen and Murongji Shui walked out of the living room. Their bodies flashed, flying into the sky. Shoo, shoo. The two turned into 2 beams of light and disappeared. Outside the living room, Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing looked at the direction where the two disappeared and let out a breath. Shen Yuqing laughed. Chenna is too mature. I thought he was not interested in girls. He, the younger generation will have their own happiness. What is the rush? I heard that he was quite close with a girl called Xu Jing when he was in the Sky Cloud Martial School. The Murong family was located in a huge mountain range in the west of the South Rudra region, which was 2 million miles away from the Windy Nation. In the afternoon of the 3rd day, Yi Chen and Murongji Shui arrived at the mountain range. Our Murong family is not that famous, but the only thing in the South Rudra region that we do not dare to mess with is the South Rudra Martial School. The other rank 6 martial institutions are not as powerful as our Murong family. Even the royal families of the 4 empires are slightly weaker than us. Looking at the center of the mountain range, Murongji Shui kept flying at a high speed as he introduced the Murong family to Yi Chen. Yi Chen nodded. It seemed like Murongji Shui letting Murong enter the Sky-Flying Demon Martial School was just a cover so that people would not know that she was a member of the Demi-Demon family. Uncle, why do so many people on the continent want to target the Demi-Demon family? Demi-demons look no different from humans, and they do not seem to cause any harm. Yi Chen did not understand. He did not think that the reason why people would target the Demi-Demon family was because they hated the demons. Murongji Shui sighed. Actually, there is a reason. Our Demi-Demon family is indeed a big threat. The bloodline of the demons is not that easy to get. But, what can we do? Just because we are demi-demons, we have to take away our right to live. Murongji Shui still wanted to say something, but they had arrived at the Murong family. From a distance, the entire Murong clan appeared to be very mysterious and vast. The buildings were all very ancient, and there were also countless towers. The sky above the Murong clan was different from the outside world. The color was darker and gloomier, and dark clouds covered the sky. Chapter 534. What a powerful demon chi! Yi Chen could not help but be shocked. Demon chi was also a kind of yuan chi. Normally, the yuan qi in the world would be distributed in a balanced manner. Every kind of yuan qi would be present, and the natural element yuan qi would be the largest. The other yuan qi would be reduced according to their rarity, and the demon qi would be one of the rarest yuan qi. Right now, the demon qi in the sky above the Murong family was not weaker than the natural element yuan qi, which had darkened the sky. Murongji Shui explained, in the demi-demon race, other than the perfect demi-demon bloodline, although the others could only train in yuan, they would be tainted by the demon qi when training. The higher the bloodline, the more demon qi would be tainted. Our Murong family has more than 10,000 people, so the demon qi that we have gathered together has affected the yuan qi distribution in the sky. It is also one of the reasons why our family is so low-key. Leader. A group of guards flew into the sky, holding their fists together to greet Murong Jishui. Murong Jishui nodded slightly and said, "This is Yi Chen, Mr. Yi." "Greetings, Mr. Yi." Shock flashed through the guards' eyes. Obviously, they had all heard of Yi Chen's name. After all, there was no power in the whole southern sector that did not know about Yi Chen. If they did not know, then they would not be far from being annihilated. If they were not well informed, what would they do if they were attacked? "While I was away, nothing happened in the family, right?" Murong Jishui asked casually. The leader of the guards hesitated a bit before saying, "Leader, 3 days ago, people from the Yuan family came and took away the young miss and the leader's mother." "What?" Murong Jishui's expression turned cold. "How dare they? What right do they have to take away my daughter?" The leader of the guards replied, "The headmaster had agreed to it. The leader's mother was afraid that the young miss would be taken advantage of, so she followed them as well." "This bastard." Mentioning the headmaster, Murong Jishui's face turned green. "Who came from the Yuan family?" Suppressing his anger, Murong Jishui said with a low voice, "It is the 3rd master and the 5th master of the Yuan family. The ones who came are actually elders. It seems like they're not only here to bring people over, but also to intimidate." Murong Jishui was very clear about the power of the Yuan family. As the main family of the demi-demon family, the elders of the Yuan family were either Master Level C of Soul's Realm warriors or Top Spirit Level warriors. And the top 10 elders would all be Master Level C of Soul's Realm warriors. Let's go back first. Murong Jishui's good mood had been ruined, and he was very frustrated. But, he also knew that he had already been taken away for 3 days, and he would not be able to catch up. Plus, even if he did, there were 2 Master Level C of Soul's Realm warriors. "Yi Chen, in a couple of days, we will go to the Yuan family together. Just bear with it for now." Meanwhile, Murong Jishui passed on a message to Yi Chen. Yi Chen nodded. "I know, uncle." There were many people from the Murong family who came to greet him, but Murong Jishui ignored them and walked towards the hall. When he reached the hall, he ordered someone to invite the great elder over. Inside the hall, all of the Murong family's elders were gathered together, and Yi Chen sat on the first seat on the right. Soon, a middle-aged man with a bulky body and sharp eyes walked over. He looked to be 7 or 8 years older than Murong Jishui, and was about 50 years old. He was tall and muscular, and as he walked, he gave off a powerful aura. "Third brother." The middle-aged man did not call him leader, but called him third brother. Murong Jishui's eyebrows flicked as he said coldly, "Murong Wang, were you the one who agreed to let my daughter go to the Yuan family? I remember that I am the leader of the Murong family, right? What right do you have to make such a decision?" The Murong Wang he was talking about was indeed the great elder, who was also his big brother. Murong Wang sat on the first seat on the left. After glancing at Yi Chen, he said slowly, "Sooner or later, she will still have to go. This is the truth. Plus, there is nothing wrong with Qing Cheng marrying into the Yuan family. Only there would she be able to bring out her full potential. If you really want what's best for Qing Cheng, then I have nothing to say. But according to what I know, your son wants to marry the 3rd daughter of the Yuan family's branch. Is that true? What does my son marrying have to do with this?" "That would depend on who your son marries. Marrying a girl with a rather good bloodline from the Yuan family, do you think they would agree? I think you are trying your best to make my daughter marry Yuan Yi so that you can negotiate with them. Am I right?" Murong Jishui was very angry. "Third brother, this is already done. No matter what I do, it will not change anything. So, whether I do it or not, there is no conflict. You are the leader of the Murong family. Do not be reckless and drag your wife and daughter into this." Murong Wang was not happy, so he changed the way he addressed him. "Qing Cheng is my daughter. I do not need you to lecture me. As for your son, I can guarantee that the Yuan family would not agree. Do you really think that you can negotiate with them?" They are the Yuan family after all. Murong Jishui calmed down. Murong Wang sneered, "You do not need to worry about that. If there is nothing else, I will excuse myself for now." Standing up, Murong Wang walked out. When he was about to step out of the lobby, he turned around and looked at Yi Chen. "I forgot to mention this. It would be best if you do not provoke the Yuan family. The rule of the demi-demon family is not something that you can change. Bringing him here would only humiliate him. Yi Chen, right? If I were you, I would leave immediately. The Yuan family is way more powerful than you can imagine. Any young warrior from there would be able to beat the whole southern region's young generation. Plus, you have to know that after reaching the Sea of Souls realm, anyone below the age of 40 would be considered a young warrior. I am afraid you are still limited to those below the age of 30, right?" Yi Chen took a deep breath. Of course, Yi Chen knows about this. How could he not know about the definition of the young generation in the Sea of Souls realm? At the astral reaching realm, people below the age of 30 would be considered as the young generation, and those in their 20s would be considered as the young generation. At the Sea of Souls realm, people below the age of 40 would be considered as the young generation, and those below the age of 30 would be considered as the young generation. The reason why it was so close was mainly because of potential. At the astral reaching realm, warriors below the age of 30 would have the most potential, so they would be considered as the young generation. As for those in their 30s, although they would still be considered young, their potential would be almost used up. Once they reached the Sea of Souls realm, their potential would increase a bit, but it would still be limited. After reaching the age of 40, they would not have much potential anymore, and would not be considered as the young generation anymore. All in all, the young generation in this world was not measured by age, but by potential. Otherwise, Sea of Souls realm warriors could live up to 300 years, and 60 years old would only be equivalent to 20 years old for clasping Yuan realm warriors. Murong Wang said that any random young warrior from the Yuan family would be able to beat all of the young warriors in the southern region was indeed a bit exaggerated, but it would not be too exaggerated, because people in Yi Chen's generation were all below the age of 30, and the young warriors of the Yuan family were not limited to below the age of 30. They were all below the age of 40, and Yi Chen and the rest had lived 10 years less than them, so it would be normal for them to be weaker than them. If they were at the same age, saying that the young warriors of the Yuan family could beat all of the young warriors in the South Rudra region would be an exaggeration. Seeing that Yi Chen was not scared at all, Murong Wang sneered. In his opinion, Yi Chen was still basking in his identity as the king warrior of the southern region. But that was only for warriors below the age of 30. If he were above the age of 30, he would only be humiliated, and no one would give him any face. Taking 50 attacks without losing is a bit harsh. How can it not be harsh? Being humiliated here is still better than being humiliated in the Yuan family. Yeah, I wonder how much of his power he will bring out. Chapter 535. Hearing everyone's discussion, Murong Jishirei could not help but think to himself, "Yi Chen, don't disappoint me. You and I have the same goal. If you want to stand out, then my Murong family will do the same as well. Right now, we are all in the same boat. We will share the same fate, and we will share the same fate." Murong Jishirei knew that Yi Chen had a lot of potential, but he still did not know how powerful Yi Chen was. Demi-demons were different from humans, and their basic advantages were very obvious. After reaching the Sea of Souls realm, this advantage would be even bigger. For example, in terms of spirit bodies, the demi-demon spirit bodies would be even more powerful than humans. Moreover, once the Zhen Yuan was mixed with demonic qi, it would have some of the characteristics of demonic power, which would make it even more powerful than humans. If Yi Chen could not even handle 50 attacks from Murong Wu, then this plan would not work anymore. Boom! Qi waves clashed on the battling field. It was Murong Wu and Yi Chen attacking at each other. The Zhen Yuan qi that was leaking out of their bodies pressed against each other, forming two hemispherical membranes, each taking up half of the sky. All of a sudden, a bright blue light and a bright blue light exploded out, looking extremely eye-piercing. "Take my wave fist attack first." Wu stomped on the ground and jumped up into the air. The dark blue light accumulated on his fist, and when it had condensed into a single point, he threw out a punch at Yi Chen. What? Using his water-profound fist art right from the start? Is Wu planning to finish this battle quickly? Seeing Wu attacking so aggressively, some of the masters were shocked. Facing this unknown fist attack, Yi Chen did not panic at all. His body stopped halfway as he reached down with his right hand, grabbing onto his gold sword and pulling it out. The second the gold sword was pulled out of its scabbard, a bright gold light shot out from the left side of Yi Chen's waist, shooting out toward Wu, who was in midair. Inside that gold light were countless blurry sword shadows. Because of their extreme speed, they could not be seen with naked eyes at all. Only soul power could simulate them. Boom, 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 boom. The dark green light and the golden light clashed together, bringing up hundreds of explosive sounds within a second. This kind of endless chi explosion sound could easily make a clasping Yuan realm warrior's heart beat faster and get severely wounded. Even if a normal person was far away from it, their heart would still explode and die. What a fast sword speed! Wu's fist attack was supposed to explode when it reached in front of Yi Chen. However, Yi Chen's sword attack speed was way too fast, and his sword was even faster. Once his fist was thrown out, the dark green light that had been accumulated on the tip of his fist exploded. That not-so-big fist seemed to contain the power of a river. The fist power was thick like water, surging and surging. Each wave was higher than the last, faster than the last. Compressing the fist force into a single point and exploding it in an instant. Amazing. In the first exchange, Yi Chen immediately sensed the profoundness of the raging wave's fist. To face this fist technique, he had to be faster than it. If he was hit, the consequences would be unimaginable. The surging fist energy and the countless sword shadows were like light and darkness, contending against each other, cancelling each other out, and finally annihilating each other. Neither of them could do anything to the other. Not bad. Take another one of my raging waves kick. Wu's body slanted as his right leg flew into the air like a shooting star, kicking at Yi Chen's head. This kick was extremely similar to the raging wave's fist, as it was also condensing the leg power into a single point before exploding. Yi Chen did not back out at all. His left hand, which was hanging by his waist, held the emerald longsword in a reverse grip and waved it up, drawing out a bright thunder arc boom. This exchange was different from the last time. Wu's leg power had been split in half directly, and the rest of it was pushed back towards Wu by the curved sword light. Even though he moved last, he got here first. Wu was so shocked that cold sweat appeared on his forehead. It was him who threw out the raging waves kick first, but his opponent's reaction was way too fast. It seemed like he had already prepared for it. Plus, that backhand sword attack had made him extremely uncomfortable. Just when his leg power had been condensed, it had been shattered, sliced apart, and even rolled back towards him. This Yi Chen does not seem to be simple. Both of Wu's attacks had been cancelled out by him. His battling experience is very impressive. He is no weaker than Wu, and his intelligence is even more powerful. He is indeed the martial genius that the Dragon King has chosen. Martial geniuses usually had very powerful intelligence. Even the older generation would not be able to compete with them, which was something that everyone had to admit. Of course, the masters who were watching the battle did not think that Wu would not be able to do anything to Yi Chen, since the battle had just begun. Being blown back by his own leg power, Wu looked at Yi Chen with surprise. "All right. I thought you would not be able to handle even 80% of my power. But now, it seems like I have underestimated you. But, the battle has just begun. Next, you will be facing the most embarrassing situation. You better be mentally prepared. It would be better to be embarrassed here than in the Yuan family." Wu's battling intent had been ignited. He planned to attack with all of his power to see what kind of level Yi Chen had reached. Without enough power, he would not be able to go to the Yuan family. "Bring it on. I will make sure that you will be satisfied." Yi Chen's long hair danced in the wind. His whole body was like a sword that had just been taken out of its scabbard, ready to fly out at any second to kill the enemy. It was indeed this sword intent that had made Murong Wu develop this intense battling intent, making him consider Yi Chen as his opponent. Boom! Murong Wu exploded. A lot of dark blue Jinyuan water flow extended out of his body. It was like a living thing, floating up and down. It was 100 meters long, turning the area within 100 meters into his territory. Once one entered that area, they would be restricted by the Jinyuan water flow. Shoo! Murong Wu shot out toward Yi Chen. With the help of that Jinyuan water flow, he looked like a massive human-shaped octopus, twisting the surreal space. Take this. It was the same wave fist art, but this time, Murong Wu's fist aura was even faster and more aggressive. As he attacked, dozens of Jinyuan water flows tried to wrap around Yi Chen. Yi Chen threw out a sword attack at an extremely fast speed to cut down the incoming Jinyuan water flow. However, he realized that after the Jinyuan water flow had been cut down, it would still be able to reconnect. Moreover, after cutting down one, more Jinyuan water flow would follow up. Under the interference of the Jinyuan water flow, Yi Chen and Murong Wu exchanged an attack head-on and backed out dozens of steps. Shoo! 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 The Jinyuan water flow followed right behind Yi Chen. If it were not for Yi Chen's sword speed and technique, as well as his super reflexes, he might have been trapped by the Jinyuan water flow. Once he was trapped, the situation would be very bad for him. This water sealing spell of mine is a combination of restriction, attack, and defense. It will limit your power and make you unable to focus on battling. Murong Wu secretly accumulated his power, preparing his ace attack. Senior, why don't you try my Jinyuan silk as well? Yi Chen's body shook once, and countless blue silk threads spread out. They interweaved and formed into a couple of meters wide ball, covering Yi Chen within. Once those Jinyuan water flows touched it, they would be sliced into pieces, unable to move an inch further. What? Jinyuan silk? Not only Murong Wu's expression changed, even Murong Jishui and all the other masters of the Murong family were shocked. It was not that they had never seen Jinyuan silk before, but they had never seen anyone use it to such an extent as Yi Chen did. He was able to use his body as the center and spread out the Jinyuan silk threads, forming into a ball to protect himself. What kind of controlling power was required to do that? So troublesome. Murong Wu was starting to have a headache. Yi Chen's power had already exceeded his expectation, since he was able to use Jinyuan silk to this level. Seeing that his Jinyuan silk threads had broken his opponent's water sealing spell, even Yi Chen himself was a bit surprised. He had learned this Jinyuan silk from Chu Zhongtian's evil Yuan silk. When he was at the astral reaching realm, he was already able to turn part of his Jinyuan into silk and increase his attacking power. Once he reached the Sea of Souls realm, his soul power would increase by 5 times, and his controlling power would naturally increase as well. His achievement in Jinyuan silk had already reached beyond Chu Zhongtian, leaving him far behind. With the protection of the Jinyuan silk, Yi Chen was not afraid of the Jinyuan water flow at all. He flew towards Murong Wu at an extreme speed, throwing out a sword attack. Swoosh! A crescent-shaped sword chi shot out. Seal! Murong Wu quickly pulled back the Jinyuan water flow, gathering it in front of him. Boom! In the next second, that rich Jinyuan water splashed out, and Murong Wu was blown backward. Gold resonant radiance sword attack. The Jinyuan water flow disappeared as Yi Chen waited for the moment when Murong Wu's defense was at its weakest and threw out his most powerful sword attack. Gold and blue sword light spread out everywhere. Good brat! Murong Wu's pupils shrank. That sword attack had brought him a lot of danger. Wherever that sword attack went through, the space started to vibrate, and dense space folds started to spread out. Arm demonization. Break. At that critical moment, Murong Wu's right arm burst out with a strong black chi, which was very agile. It traveled inside his arm. Creak, creak. The sound of muscles tightening was heard as Murong Wu's arm expanded within a second. Even the sleeves of his shirt had been torn apart, exposing the skin of his arm. No, it should not be called skin anymore. It was an arm that was covered in dense scales. Demon chi was rolling in the air, and the claws were huge. The streamlined muscles had a black luster to them. Tightening his fist, Murong Wu threw out a punch onto that gold and blue sword light. Shoo! Shoo! Burning sparks spilled everywhere. Murong Wu's feet rubbed against the ground as he slid dozens of meters away. Besides that 1 second of looking pale, he did not puke out any blood. Achem! This arm is just like a demon's arm. It blocked out my sword light with only one punch. Yi Chen stared at Murong Wu's right arm. If it were not for this sudden transformation, he would have been wounded for sure. Of course, as the fifth master of the Murong family, he might have a top-rank shield, but he had to rely on it to block out his own attack, which meant that he had lost the battle. He had forced the fifth to demonize his own arm. Murong Jishue gasped as he looked at Yi Chen in shock. All the other masters were shocked as well. Demonization was a taboo in the demi-demon family. Unless it was a critical moment, they would rarely use it to increase their power. Murong Wu could only demonize his right arm, but after that, his right arm would no longer be a normal arm. It would become a demon's arm, and its power would increase exponentially. What shocked them the most was that although that sword attack of Yi Chen had been shattered by Murong Wu himself had slid dozens of meters away as well. It was obvious that he could not suppress Yi Chen's attack at all. Did you guys feel it? The willpower of this sword attack had increased a little bit. Yeah, I had the same feeling as well. Some of the masters had noticed it. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.